till I fall. I'ma answer the call. I'm a beast, I'm a dog. Hit my back against the wall. I accept every challenge. Had to battle for my balance. From a peasant to the palace. Treat the trophy like a chalice. Stayed on my grind. Great things take time. Now how I shine. You might go blind. Come along for the ride. Cause I'm headed to the top with it. Going is my only option. They can never ever stop this. Show me my opponent. Top spot, I want it. My grind, I'm on it. Can't stop, keep going. One and only, can't clone me. I remember feeling lonely. I remember when they told me I would never get the trophy. Show me my opponent. Top spot, I want it. My grind, I'm on it. Can't stop, keep going. One and only, can't clone me. I remember feeling hungry. Now I'm coming for the trophy. Cause this is my moment. My moment. So many days, so many nights. I had to fall, I had to fight, I had to find the strength inside, keep hope alive. Through the dark, I found my light and now I shine. So many days, so many nights. I had to fall, I had to fight, I had to find the strength inside, keep hope alive. Through the dark, I found the light and now it's mine. This is my moment. My moment. Cause this is my moment.
Hey guys, I'm Garrett Lowe, driver number 99 in the NASCAR Euro Series V8 GP. So I was an integral part of the development of the NASCAR Euro Series RC01 race car, and it was an incredible process to be able to work with the iRacing staff and engineers to not only fine-tune the car, but bring it to life in a sim as real as possible. I'm super excited for everyone to be able to try it because we put a lot of effort into this car to make it drive just like the real thing. As someone who's been pro-level sim racing in NASCAR for several years, the biggest thing I had to make sure that was right on the car was the way the tires feel. We were fortunate enough we had a little bit of time left over to dial in the new tire with the new compound this year. So even with the new compound, the car feels just as real as it does on the real racetrack. And that was something for me that I had to make sure was absolutely right, was the way the tire feels. It certainly feels like this is full circle now that I've gone from so many years of sim racing in NASCAR to here in the real world in NASCAR Euro Series, and now bringing this car into the sim world for the first time. It kind of brings things full circle, and it's a really cool process. So I think I'm most excited for the fans to get behind the wheel of the RC01, mostly because it's a tough car to drive. It's tough to drive it at the limit every single lap and manage the tires. But also I'm excited to see the other NASCAR Euro Series drivers get behind the wheel and hear their feedback, make sure I did my job right, helping get the car developed, and yeah, just go from there. I think the next Garrett Lowe could be sitting at home on iRacing, running the NASCAR Euro Series car, and develop their skills on the sim just like I did. And who knows, they could be a champion of the NASCAR Euro Series one day.
We're going to play chess while all these other boys are playing checkers.
Let's get as many points as we can. It all starts right here. Are you ready?
And the green flag is in the air. Here they come, storming to turn one. This is incredible! Can he get it done?
The grandstands are going wild.
Yeah, let's go, baby! Oh, yeah, boys! They're crashing mid-pack! Checkered flag is out!
What a finish, boys.
Tonight on Countdown to Green, the crew recaps the action from Richmond. The playoff picture gets set at Daytona, and we chat with another sim-to-reality racer, Vicente Salas. All of that and more coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the World Center of Speed, the virtual Daytona International Speedway for Round 9 of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. This is the Countdown to Green, presented by Logitech. Tonight, one final shot for some of the best racers in sim racing to get their chance at the $100,000 prize. Welcome in, everybody. I'm glad you're here. I'm Alan Cavana, joined by Ryan Vargas and James Pike. Not only are we looking to go playoff racing after tonight, but it's also August 18th, 8/18 on your calendar. The day NASCAR and the world is celebrating as Forever Rowdy, Kyle Busch Day. Social media is filled with tributes to KFB, the man, the myth, the legend, and it's no different. And on here on Countdown to Green. Gentlemen, I want to bring you in and get your thoughts. First, we'll start with you, Ryan. As a racer, as a competitor, what stands out to you? What will forever stand out about Kyle Busch?
Well, I mean, you just look at the legacy that Kyle Busch has laid out for not just himself, but the impact he's had on the NASCAR garage, right? I mean, what is it? It's almost a third of the Cup field, a quarter of the Cup field has been through KBM. And you look at the stats on the left of your screen there, you know, just over 1,300 starts, 234 wins. I did the math on that. That means one win in every 5.5 starts. That is just how dominant Kyle Busch was. And I'm very lucky to have gotten the opportunity to share a racetrack with him and get to grow up watching him dominate on the racetrack.
And James, as someone who holds the microphone, interviews drivers, Kyle Busch was never far from the mic, nor far from the short tracks, the home tracks of America.
No, he wasn't, and he loved racing super late models, I think, just as much as he loved running trucks and running the Cup Series. You'd see him start in the Snowball Derby many, many times after the NASCAR season was over, but then he'd go through trucks, through Cup. He'd have so many great wins over the course of his career. I think of Indianapolis in 2016 in particular, where he led all but 11 laps. Maybe the peak of his powers in a time where that car was just everywhere, it seemed like, up at the front of the field. And neat to see Kyle go back-to-back at one of the most iconic tracks in the country.
Always. And that's what we talk about, his legacy on the track. I'm thinking of his legacy off the track. If you look over my shoulder, there's an unopened champagne bottle. That is from his 2019 Cup Series winning celebration, unopened. I got that bottle at an auction for the Bundle of Joy Fund. The Bundle of Joy is a foundation started by Kyle and his wife Samantha. They help families who are dealing with infertility issues. They help families grow. They help make families. And that, to me, will always be Kyle Busch's long-lasting legacy, of course, on the track, but everything he and his wife and family will do off the track. Kyle, Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, we are thinking of you always. And with that, we'll start the show by looking back on what it took to get to tonight, guys. Let's look back to Richmond and what turned out to be a pretty good night for a driver who needed it, Ryan.
Absolutely. The action track brought plenty of action, Alan, and it was a heck of a show, really, from the get-go. You see right here, 3 wide racing all throughout the pack. Bobby Z clears himself on Garrett Lowe in the middle there, causes a little bit of a multi-car stack up, but then, like we saw all night, James, multi-groove racing. This is the Richmond that I love, is when those tires wear out, people start searching for grip and trying to find multiple lanes.
Yeah, this is a race where I think, especially compared to years past, we saw drivers working the middle groove more so than usual, and that made this race especially fun, I think, in the second half of this. A lot of great side-by-side battles, a lot of close calls here.
Falky came going around.
Yeah, Falky came in a little bit of trouble. Nate Stewart also tried the strategy play. Didn't quite work out the way that he would have hoped. 4 wide is a little bit difficult to work at Richmond at points, but it got really, really testy at the end, and it should, Ryan, because you got so many drivers fighting for spots in the playoffs.
Well, and it's getting down to the nitty-gritty, right? You see everybody making brave moves as Vicente Salas gets the win last week, locks himself into the playoffs, and that brings us to where we're at right now. Bobby Z at the top of the sheet there, tied with Steven Wilson, and the reason they are tied, as we've hit on a lot, Steven Wilson got that segment victory. That's those 5 bonus points. So, although Bobby Z has more wins, Steven Wilson is tied with him for the lead. The other thing that I want to mention, Tucker Minter with 50 points above the cutoff line. He is the only driver who is entering tonight safe in points. So no matter where he finishes, he can go out there and wreck on lap 1. It does not matter. He is locked in. Guys who I'm worried about down there, Wyatt Tinsley, Casey Kerwin, they're kind of on that bubble, but I want to look at that rookie right there, P17, Sean Conklin. What an impressive run for him all season long. Another rookie, Quentin Warman, up there in 11th, fighting, knocking on the door of the playoff picture. Now, there's some drivers that aren't on your screen right now, drivers that are outside of your top 20 who, if they did win, but they weren't top 20 of points, it wouldn't count. However, mathematically, if they get enough points tonight and get the win, they will be able to count for their playoff standings. And those drivers are Seth DeMerchant, Kenny Brady, Thomas Lloyd, Cody Bias, Malik Ray, and Michael Cozy Jr. James, we got to take out this the segment 3 standings. This is going to add a lot of complexity to the playoff picture.
Well, especially with it being Daytona, I don't necessarily think you can call yourself safe for anything if you're in the top 10, because if you get involved in an incident in one of the big ones, or maybe if we don't have a big one, you still have a tremendous ability to shake up the standings. So yes, Parker White leads the segment standings by 8 points over Quentin Warman, but I would say realistically, if you can stay out of trouble all the way back to Dylan Duvall in 12th, I think, Yershak in 13th, that's about the line where I think you still genuinely have a chance, and you can just race it out and see what happens.
Yeah, so much on the line tonight, including some bragging rights. Let's check in and see how the William Byron Esports Challenge is going. We should be, talking smack.
Man.
We're just getting smacked in the face. Look at the results on the left.
We stink.
Nobody has picked even a potential winner. We're all out, guys. So shout out to Quentin Warman, Parker White, Christopher Money Hill, Connor Euroshak. They are the Final Four. We have no shot at even picking a winner, Ryan. What went wrong?
Man, mine went wrong early. I had Vicente Salas making it all the way, and look, he got knocked out round one. So, I mean, look, kudos to Nate Stewart for knocking him out, but unfortunately got knocked out early. But, man, it is so fun following along with the bracket challenge, and I'm curious to see if there's any fans out there who have a bracket that's at least still in the hunt.
Yeah, James, I was a Steven Wilson believer. Didn't work out for me.
I just had a feeling that the top seed wasn't going to win. It's very rare that you see it in the basketball tournament in March that happens. So I figured it'd be somebody a little bit just underneath that. But you've got 4 really, really strong drivers who are admittedly going to be a little bit beholden to the chaos of Daytona, but they're there for a reason, and they've been consistent all throughout this tournament.
Yeah, we'll monitor that tonight. Well, he's not in the bracket challenge, but he is in the playoff and in the running for the $100,000 after his victory in Richmond. Let's learn more about Vicente Salas.
I mean, I'm just working on a day-to-day basis, Racing is a full-time job. So between sim racing, training, doing other things on the sim, as well as, doing my own work with sponsors and partners, it pretty much takes up the whole day. I've always been into racing. My dad actually raced motocross. When he was younger, he did a lot of motorsports photography for the safety side of things. So growing up, there weren't really movies or shows on the TV. It was racing, whether it was NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, IMSA, anything that it was just racing. So I grew up around it. It's all I wanted to do. But as for sports that I grew up playing beforehand, I was really, really big into soccer. So I played that through elementary school, into middle school, and into high school before I started racing. Well, my friend and his dad were looking at starting racing, and it had always been my dream. So one day I just tagged along with them to the track and got to try a shifter and had a really, really good time there with my dad. And we kind of decided that, I'd always wanted to race, and this was the time to try it. And, a year or two down the road, we knew that we could compete at the top level of shifter car racing. And it's kind of snowballed into me now being in the eNASCAR series as well as racing NASCAR in real life. We've never had the biggest budget or the biggest means to go racing, so I thought to myself, when I'm not able to be at the racetrack physically, then maybe there's a way for me to maximize it by doing it virtually. So I had a great opportunity to start iRacing. I think it was in about 2017 or 2018, and I didn't really use it too much until about 2019 or 2020, in which then I decided to run for the eNASCAR series for fun, so I wasn't even really taking it too seriously. But then COVID happened, and I had a lot more time to test, and obviously we couldn't go to the real racetrack, so that kind of gave me the means to be more competitive than I should have been in the qualifier series. And we ended up making it, and I mean, it's been a really, really great career path for me, and it's been almost like a second job. So I'm super grateful to Tony Kanaan, Williams Esports, and Space Station Gaming, who have all given me opportunities to drive for them, and most recently Tony Kanaan with the number 11 Kanaan Esports Camry. I mean, I think the last race I felt in the zone, which normally I feel about in the zone in every single race, but it really had to have been the finale at Homestead as well as the race at Phoenix Raceway right before. At Phoenix, we were in a must-win. We knew that for us to make the Final Four, the chances of us doing it via points were very low. So we had to win that race. So we worked really, really hard. I'd like to give a lot of credit to Dave Siltman and Houston Hammer as well for all the work they did in prep for Phoenix. But yeah, that race, we were in a must-win. We got in the race, qualified on the pole, led the most laps, and when someone tried to take the lead away from us, we took it right back the next restart, so didn't give way to anybody. But yeah, I felt like we were all very in the zone that race because we knew what we needed to do, and we got the job done to give us a chance at the title.
Always good to hear from Gente there, one of the veterans of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. But now we got to head to our Logitech G-Track analysis. And tonight we are heading to Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing. This track is 2.5 miles long, or 4.02 kilometers long. The turns are banked at a whopping 31 degrees. This place opened in February of 1959. The previous winner was Steven Wilson. And guys, one of the things that I'm looking at all night long we talk about the dangers of super speedway racing, but I'm looking at, and producer Drew kind of hit on this in our production call earlier today, pit road. You do not want to mess up on pit road. You want to stay with your partners all night long. Position yourself for the end. So that's going to be something that I'm going to be watching all night long.
And James, you have to be aggressive, but you also have to be patient. How do you do both, James?
I think you go either to the front or to the back. I feel like most of the success at Daytona and Talladega, for that matter, comes if you're either controlling the race from the very front of one of these packs or you're laying in the weeds, waiting for the big one to happen, and then taking advantage of the cars that wreck in front of you. So you just don't want to be in the center of the storm. If you get caught in the hurricane, your chances at a playoff run may go up.
Great analysis here. Here in the Coke Series, we are still win and in for the playoff. A majority of the field tonight can still get that victory, lock in the playoff spot, and have the shot at $100,000 and the championship. And what a better place to do it than the big daddy of them all, Daytona International Speedway. It happens tonight. We're going green right after this.
On the bleeding edge of 200 miles per hour, the most relentless, unpretentious athletes on the planet chase points, chase trophies, chase each other.
Unbelievable. That's awesome.
No guarantees, no safety net, just sheer guts, guile, and will.
Let's go, boys.
Defiantly unapologetic, authentically NASCAR.
Every journey toward racing excellence begins the same way. Today, the gap between the garage and the living room has never been smaller. Because mastery isn't about where you start, it's about where you train. Feel the road. Own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals, available now on Amazon.
If you ask where a legacy begins, most will say it's right here.
Opens the season with a win in Daytona Beach.
Look, hey, here we go again. I can see him look at how he get the win again.
Tonight, it's not about starting a legacy, it's about cementing the goal to win it all.
Yeah, I know this is what I'm made for. Yeah, you take shots, but don't make none. My time, so I'm rising, it's my time. You try fighting, you might need a lifeline.
One race stands between moving on and defeat.
We on the way, know that. 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 Yeah, it's my time. Too good to be when I'm in the limelight. Shining in the dark like I was a nightlight. It's my time, it's my time. Yeah. I went from the back to front, last to one. Future looking like man.
And in a series first, it's sink or swim at the beach. Who gets in?
The road to $500,000 comes to an end for 30 drivers when the checkered flag falls this evening. From iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the regular season finale of the 2026 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. It is a special day today because when it is all said and done, we will, one, know the 10 drivers who will fight for the eNASCAR Championship Series title here in 2026, but also number two, because we are celebrating Kyle Busch Day on 8/18, Kenneth, and all across social media, drivers, colleagues, fans, and everybody in between in the industry have been sharing their favorite memories of the two-time Cup Series champion.
celebrating an absolute NASCAR legend. One of my favorite memories of seeing Kyle Busch on the racetrack. I was there for both of his Cup Series championships in 15 and 19 at Homestead in Miami. I remember that 2015 season so vividly, Alan, where he broke his leg. Many questions of whether he would even make the rest of the season. He comes through, tears through the field, ends up winning the championship at the end. Whether you liked him or you didn't, I think every single one of us at Homestead that night, we sat back and said, wow, that's a resilient driver, a driver who easily in that moment cemented himself as one of the best of all time. And apart from all the other things he did on and off the track, Kyle Busch going down as an absolute NASCAR legend. And it's great that everyone's sharing their favorite memories of him, whether it be on the racetrack or not, through all of the years of competition. It's great.
Yeah, legacy for so many reasons, Kenneth. And if you were there in 2019, you'll love this story, because over my shoulder, that's an unopened champagne bottle from 2019 when he won the title from the Victory Lane celebration at that race. I got that in an auction for the Bundle of Joy Fund. The Bundle of Joy is the foundation that Kyle Busch and Samantha Busch started to help families that deal with infertility. Their work helps grow families, and that will ultimately be such a long legacy beyond the racetrack. That's what I think of when I think of Kyle Busch and his family, who of course we are thinking of tonight. We're racing at Daytona. He had so many great highlights there at that track, but his legacy after that is what I'm really thinking.
Well, I'll tie this in, Alan, with some die-casts as well, because I've got a couple of Kyle Busch championship ones over my shoulder as well. But the Dale Earnhardt one over your shoulder reminded me of his quote that went along the lines of saying, doesn't matter if they're cheering or booing, at least they're making noise for you. And as someone who had season tickets to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the better part of a decade, you go to any NASCAR track in that peak KB number 18 era, it's probably, 80, 75% booze, 25%. I'm not saying there were no boos in Las Vegas, but as his hometown race, it was closer to 50-50. And I always found that a little bit fun, that he may have been the heel for many, but in Vegas, he was our heel. And that, I think, goes to all of the accomplishments on the racetrack, off the racetrack that you guys have mentioned, and hoping to see these memories and these stories continue as his impact is continued to be felt in all of the drivers now that compete at the top levels across all of NASCAR's top 3 series, who were inspired by him as they were coming up and through the ranks. And I'm sure many drivers in the field here tonight feel those same sentiments, and excited to see, hopefully, Kyle Busch, they continue well into the future. Of course, there is the task at hand here this evening, and that is the 9th and final race of this regular season. Vicente Salas 2 weeks ago in Richmond took home a win that locked him in to these championship playoffs. Tonight, though, we will find out the final 4 names who have yet to be determined before in 2 weeks' time we head to the Michigan International Speedway and we start racing with eliminations on the mind.
And Evan, it is the first time in series history since 2020 that we cap off the regular season with a super speedway. First time ever, though, that it's right here at the World Center of Racing. This track is known by many in this series as the opener, the start of the $100,000 dream. Now it may signify the continuation of it or the end in a very abrupt race. We see this as the great equalizer. The super speedway can get anyone into victory lane. That's what makes this part of the schedule so very interesting. A segment and a playoff hope on the line as well.
16 of the 18 races that have happened on the oval here at the Daytona International Speedway in series history have been season openers. We have never closed a season here at Daytona Beach. Of course, that Talladega race a couple of years back in 2020, the only other time we've seen a super speedway be that determining race. Alan, this race, no matter what track it's at, it's been Pocono for the last 3 years, is filled with the drama and excitement as we try to chase the points and watch the bubble. But at a racetrack like this in particular, where that picture changes from corner to corner, it is going to be a nerve-wracking night for drivers above and below the cut line alike, I think.
And it opens up the field in terms of who could potentially do it tonight, right? The walk-off into the playoffs. I've covered the real-world stuff. I've seen it happen in Daytona. In the night race, when they had it in that format, the potential to win and thrust yourself into the playoff, the tension is fun. It's fun to watch from our perspective. I can't imagine the tension behind the wheel for some of these drivers who aren't in yet, but they can do it tonight.
Qualifying just wrapped up a few moments ago. We'll look at your starting grid as soon as the drivers are ready to rock and roll, Kenneth. But before we do so, a little bit more.
Yeah, I've actually got a very special piece of NASCAR history over my left shoulder. As I see, it's a little reversed right now. From one of our broadcast producers, Sean Ambrose, who brought us this 1983 Daytona 500 winning NASCAR Cup Series car, the Monte Carlo, driven by the great Cale Yarborough. A great story about this car. It actually qualified. It was the first car at Daytona to reach 200 miles per hour in the qualifying session, and then it crashed. It flipped in turn 4, so they brought a show car from a restaurant and then restored it to racing condition. He qualified, he ended up making the race, and he had a last lap pass for the win in the 1983 Daytona 500, and is also the first car, for us broadcast nerds, the first car to have an in-car camera to reach victory lane as it was nationally broadcasted for the 500. So really cool history, but just as Cale Yarborough did it back in 83, I figure we may see some last lap heroics from the drivers tonight.
Well, someone who's going to need some heroics has got a great start. Pole position tonight goes to the Junior Motorsports number 88 and Malik Gray, 24th in points entering tonight. Needs a win and needs help in the standings. He's got a front row seat to get the job done. He'll be next to the BS competition 99 to Garrett Lowe, who will start in second. Row number 3, P3 starter tonight. Your qualifying series winner from Daytona in February. That's Daniel Falkenham for Rick Ware Racing. He's next to the Kansas City Pioneers number 24 machine of Casey Kerwin above the cut line on points entering tonight's race. Row number 3, you'll see the eRacer 69 of Seth Knoll. That's the team co-owned by Parker Kligerman and Landon Castle. They're next to the TC Esports 35 of Matthew Morton, who will start from position number 6. And on row 4, Nate Stewart, representing Jim Beaver Esports in the 5, is next to the Williams F1 Team Gaming 95 of Parker White. They make up row number 4.
And you've got the final 2 inside the top 10. That includes the teammate of Parker White for Williams F1 Team Gaming. Donovan Strauss is outside the cut line going into tonight. Heroics tonight could make him one of those playoff drivers. Dylan Alt for Hayek Motorsports on the outside of him in his number 47 Chevrolet to start. E-Racers Logan Helton, the rookie who is born in Milton, Florida, trying to go for a Florida victory tonight from 11th with Wyatt Tinsley for the Kansas City Pioneers on the outside in 12th. Junior Motorsports is Zach Novak, the teammate to Malik Gray, and 2019 Series champion back in 13th with Dylan Duval for the Channel 199 Sim Racing Camp, the team owned by stunt legend Travis Pastrana. The 199 is 14th. Back in 15th, the Spire Motorsports number 7 of Femi Olatunbosin is there on the inside, and on the outside is the other Channel 199 Sim Racing Toyota, the 86 of Blake Reynolds in 16th.
On row number 9, you'll find another driver who could points his way in. That's the BS Competition 89 of Jordy Lopez, who will start 17th tonight. He's next to one of the drivers who is locked into the postseason. That's the ERA Esports team number 22 of Bobby Zelensky. So team owner Jesse Wuji can rest well. No concern for the 22 tonight. Row number 10, you'll find the second of the Jim Beaver Esports cars, but a different driver behind the wheel. Colin Keister out tonight. Matthew Zawak will be filling in. He's the first substitute driver to appear on the calendar this year. He's next to the Team Dillon Esports 33 machine of Kenny Brady. That Austin Dillon-owned car brings us halfway there. Row number 11, another driver locked into the postseason. It's Steven Wilson in the number 77 for Spire Motorsports. Next to the RFK Racing number 6 car, Dylan Basin starts tonight from 22nd. And on row 12, it is the second of that Jesse Iwuji ERA Esports team cars. This is the 34 of Michael Cozy Jr. Next to the Vegas Inferno 01 of Tommy Gossett. Vegas Inferno hosting another watch party tonight.
To wrap up the top 25, it's the Tony Kanaan Esports number 11 of Vicente Salas booked his ticket to the playoffs via the win just a few weeks ago at the virtual Richmond Raceway. And the Vegas Inferno number 21, the teammate to Tommy Gossett, Michael Guest, rolls off tonight in 26th position. Ryan Luza for FGRXL E-Racing has his number 12 on the inside of row number 14. His teammate, Seth the Merchant, in the 14. Wraps up the top 28 tonight with Hayek Motorsports' Quentin Warman. -4 to the cut line entering tonight. He needs a big one from deep in this field in 29th. And the RFK Racing number 17 of Sean Conklin trying to make his rookie season a playoff one. He just has to solidify it. He's in 30th tonight. Latar Esports' Thomas Lloyd is in the 36. In 31st, with a teammate of his, Connor Euroshak, in the 40. The Steve Letarte Esports number 40 is on the outside.
And how fitting that Connor Urashak's opponent in the semifinals of the William Byron Esports Bracket Challenge is lined up right behind him. It is the William Byron Esports number 25 of Christopher Hill, who starts tonight in 33rd position. He's next to the second of the Pink Rickware Racing cars. That is the 51 machine of Garrett Maines. Runner number 18, it's the second of the TC Esports drivers, the 73 of Jake Nichols with some work to do. He's next to Tucker Minter in the second William Byron-led entry. He's got work to do from P36, but is already locked in to the playoffs as one of those 10 drivers. Runner number 19, the Team Dillon Esports 3 of Blaze Crawford. The Coca-Cola featured driver has work to do from 37th. Next to Sebastian Marin in the Kanani Sports 66 car in 38th position. And it is an Apex Racing team, P39 and P40, as Ryan Doucette and Cody Bias have work to do before they can get up to the front of the field. Also, some late breaking news. Garrett Maines, who qualified in the number 34 position, and more notably, Malik Ray, who qualified in first. Both of those cars will be starting this race from pit road. So Malik Ray, we mentioned, needs a win and help tonight. It's going to be even more difficult to do so. And with him dropping to pit lane, it means the 55 machine, Daniel Falkenham, will cycle up to the control car position. Alan Cavan is with him.
Well, unexpected news for Daniel Falkenham, but starting in first is the place you want to be tonight. A lot on the line, Daniel. You're thinking about the top 20. You're thinking about getting the win for the playoffs. What will it take tonight at a place like Daytona?
Yeah, just hopefully we can control this race as much as we can. We got a good starting spot to do that, but really it's just avoid the chaos, because if you've seen the practice session, they got a little chaotic. So hopefully we can just try to stay out of the mess, because there's going to be a lot of that tonight, and hopefully we can put the Super.com Chevrolet in victory lane when it's all said and done.
We've had the qualifying series. What did you learn through that prospect and the victory at Daytona?
You're definitely going to want to have friends and teammates up there when it matters. I know it's a little different vehicle from what we raced in February, but still having that teamwork with like myself and Garrett, that's going to be important tonight. So hopefully, I know Garrett has to start from pit road along with Malik too. So hopefully we can get some, if there's an early yellow, Garrett can get his way to the field and we can try to work together and do some stuff. And also I got my other back end teammates to help me as well. So, but at the end of the day, we're all going for the win. But yeah, 39 other agendas are going to try to ruin that plan. So hopefully we can keep that all behind us and we can try to finish this thing off with the win.
Yeah, you won it in a truck back in February. Tonight's the Cup car. Good luck tonight. Guys, it's a different challenge, but he's in a great starting spot.
And I don't know if there's a better or a worse racetrack, depending on where you sit towards the cut line. One of the hardest to play defense on if you're above the cut line, and maybe one of the best opportunities to play offense if you're below the cut line and trying to win your way in. At the end of the night, 10 drivers will remain on the road to $500,000 as the playoffs get started in just 2 weeks. Daniel Falkenham's got a front row seat of it all for the final time on the regular season. Let's go racing in Daytona. Early advantage through the gears, 3 wide, about 10 rows back, but the front row has a slight favor to Garrett Lowe. Third lane cooking already. The 20 Wyatt Tinsley jumps up to take the line away. More drivers follow. Now it's Parker White leading the third lane.
There was plenty of great organization on the outside lane, even on the initial jump to the green flag. So Kerwin did a great job just tucking right behind Garrett Lowe's car, making him push further up as they came through 1 and 2. But already the action cooking up in this first lap. Falkenham through the middle. Here comes Seth Knoll to the inside with Nate Storr behind him for the lead.
3 by 3 by 3 coming off turn 4. Oh, it's a beautiful sight, guys, here at Daytona. If it's going to be aggressive, this is the time to do it. Off a restart, we're going to see who can make the most out of the green flag start of this race. Get in position and try to be comfortable out front. You do not want to be stuck in the middle for long, but they are making this work. 3 by 3 by 3, Evan.
It was a mad dash to see who could jockey for position first. And now that they have solidified, look how deep the 3 by 3 goes, at least 8 lanes of it. Who's going to start making moves? There's 2 of them. The 35 are going to undercut the 55. That's Morton to the bottom. And from the outside lane, Kerwin cuts out from under Garrett Lowe to try to go for the lead. I don't think it's going to get the lap led to the 24, though, because up top, Parker White with the push on Garrett Lowe. Will those lead cars up top stay up? Are they going to cycle to the bottom as opportunities arise down low. Look at the 199 car. Dylan Duval goes high to middle. The 4 car of Strauss squeezes through with him. And now Garrett Lowe, seeing that run, is going to drop down to the middle and try to play defense. Can't block 2 lanes, though. He picks up top.
I think that Garrett Lowe and all these drivers are sticking to the high side because they know where that run's coming. Right here, you have 31 degrees of banking at Daytona, so you have the momentum on the bottom, shortest way around the super speedway when you're in the corners. But once you fire off of that, turn 2, turn 4, even a little bit of the 18 degrees of banking in the trial booths, we get to look on board with Christopher Hill, driver, of course, trying to win the William Byron Esports Bracket Challenge and get into the playoffs as he's top 20. You get a big run off this banking, so take a look here from the 25. You see him going to shoot. You see the inside cars are going to gain, but you'll be able to drag him back as soon as they get to the straightaway, just with all that momentum you have. So the leaders making sure they're comfortable in that, confident they can keep the runs going. That's why you see Garrett Lowe and others staying up top, even when it looks like they're getting passed for a split second.
Look at the intensity of Christopher Hill, stuck way back in the pack on the outside of 3 wide. The gyro cam giving us an idea of just the angle and banking of a place like Daytona. Kenneth, as you described, a little momentum as you go down the straightaway, but one false move ruins everything. And there's only so much you can do when you are stuck on the outside like this, as they're trying to make the bottom lane move, and then the middle lane drags back just a little bit. We're seeing a game of runs already.
80 laps, 200 miles on the docket here tonight. Drivers still 3 wide throughout. Last time by, your top, we'll call it 30 drivers within 1 second of each other at the start-finish line, with not a lot of room to navigate, as there are still that front row opportunities to jockey side to side. We get a look at our Coca-Cola race analysis. I think that fuel window, 38 to 42 laps, if, and it's a big if, KB, we can stay green to that juncture. Pit road here at Daytona, one of the trickiest under green flag conditions.
And you always ask that question at every single racetrack, whether you're going to have a long green flag run enough to make use of the pit window and make use for green flag pit stops. But here you ask that question more than you do everywhere else, just because, especially now, we're 3x3 across the field, so I don't think it inspires a lot of confidence in the field that we're going to be clean through this first stint. But it is still a possibility, and theoretically, if we do go green all the way, it's going to be the one stop. So everyone's going to be comfortable in just one pit stop until the end, as Kenny Brady gets a good look from the back end of the 01 of Tommy Gossett, a rookie driver. And I mean, these are all guys that, again, see their season, Alan, maybe not in the best way, especially the rookie class. It's very deep for 2026. They look at a track like Daytona, especially regular season finale. Someone like Matthew Morton says, hey, I'm top 20. Maybe I can just spoil the party. Let me equalize and win here at Daytona.
And that's the beauty of this format at a track like this. Matthew Morton has a shot to change his entire season in this one race. Yes, he has to beat the best of the best. Yes, he's trying to do it on the bottom of 3x3x3 right now. But the fact that he's put himself in the top 20 as a rookie, and he can hopefully not get blocked too much on the bottom right there, but he has a shot along with many other drivers in tonight's field. That's what makes it so exciting, is Donovan Strauss out there in the lead on the top lane.
And even though it looks like a traffic jam, it doesn't mean that drivers haven't had an opportunity to make moves. As a huge dive by the 4. Strauss looked like he was almost sideways with how aggressively he came down the hill, parked it on the 55, now back up to the outside he goes. I mean, we've seen drivers make moves. Strauss is one of them, up 8 spots. Tommy Gossett just outside of the top 10, up 10. Christopher Hill in the mid-pack, up 12. There's also a bunch of drivers who have dropped way back. Zawak down 10. Matthew Zawak, the biggest loser outside of the drivers who were on the pit lane with penalties. A lot of -8s, but so far nobody dropping all the way back, is now the 55. Back up to the outside, and you're just flirting with fire. I know it's the necessary evil up front to try to control those lanes, but eventually one of those isn't going to work well, and Falkenham, I think, maybe has even taken some damage on the back end of the 55 by trying to block those lanes so aggressively.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that the drivers have gotten used to over the years of this NASCAR Next Gen era is the difference in bumper. I know that was a big topic of conversation when this car got introduced into real-life NASCAR, into iRacing in May of 2021, but the big difference, it was flat before. Now it's much more rounder on its end. when you're pushing somebody on a straightaway or in the corner. So we've seen plenty of times at these super speedways over the last few years, somebody has a heap of a run, they take it to the back bumper of the driver in front, and maybe the bumpers aren't fully aligned and they're off by just enough, or with that curved rear bumper, it pushes the driver in front to the left or to the right, it wobbles them around, and more often than not, that's where we see these crashes happen. When you have a big run, you don't know what to do with it except push it to the other driver in front, and that energy alone is going to be more than enough to get somebody off balance. But that just hasn't been the case here so far, because I don't think we've had enough space to bridge the gaps between these cars so far, Alan. They've been right on each other since the drop of the green. It has not been a problem yet.
Right on each other and blocking lane to lane. That the 42 car, that's Logan Helton, who blocked from second down to that first lane as the 199 of Dylan Duval gets out in the lead. But I'm just looking at the dynamics of some of this group. You have rookies, and then you have a former champion like Casey Kerwin, who's trying to maintain his spot in the top 10 and maybe even win the thing to cement his spot in the playoff. But so much on the line for all these drivers, all levels, rookies, champions, everybody trying to get their piece tonight.
And even for drivers who aren't near that championship bubble, which is obviously the primary talking point for the night, there's a lot else happening. There's a Segment 3 championship that's on the line. That's going to pay 5 additional bonus points to kick off the playoffs to the winner of that. You've also got guys like Logan Helton, one of 8 drivers without a top 10 this year, up there in the top 10 leading the bottom lane. Opportunities for those drivers to be competitive and search out for possibly a best finish on the year thus far. There's looking the bottom 2 drivers who we mentioned had to start from pit lane. That was Malik Ray and Garrett Maines. They are 26 seconds off of the lead pack, and only 2 of them, compared to this large group, means that the pace that they are currently running significantly slower than that of the lead pack, even with all the lifting that's going on in this big pack. So a long green flag run would hurt those drivers because it would put them at risk of losing a lap. The leaders right now crossing the start-finish line. That pair of 2 is just now halfway down the back straightaway. So that gap going to close and close with every passing lap that we do at speed.
And such a big shocker for someone like Malik Ray, who has a 2nd and 2/3 in the last 3 Daytona races. He's always somebody that we talk about on these bigger tracks just because of the way he drives with a fearless mentality, and he's always aggressive. I think if he was up here in the front, he would be blocking all 3 lanes. He would be commanding the rhythm and tone through the first 12, but that just has not been the case. Another huge block by Daniel Falkingham. He's been throwing it out there right now, but again, that shows you the mindset you have to carry, and maybe the ideology that some drivers have in races like these. You want to be ahead of the trouble sometimes. I think Daniel thinks that if he stays ahead up in front, he's not going to be involved in whatever chaos may happen in the rearview mirror, as here comes Logan Helton again for the lead.
Yeah, but blocks like that, you are going to cause the trouble. Any more blocks like Daniel Falkingham just thrown. It is so early in this race. Yes, his only option tonight is to win if he wants to continue his journey for the $100,000, but you have to be there at the end. These are impressive blocks early on in this race. No one's getting shuffled back too far, but causing a wreck up front will certainly change the race as Jordi Lopez looks to get back into the lead. Logan Helton, an impressive early run here. And Christopher Hill, we were just talking about him, way back in the field, pinned on the outside of 3 wide. Now he's up there battling for the lead. Things change here so quickly.
The lead 7 cars at the stripe this time hadn't led a lap yet in this race. I mean, that's how quickly people can just get cycled out as Logan Helton gets his first lap, led 6th different driver to do so on the outside lane. I've been impressed with how much movement these drivers have been able to do up front. They were pretty stuck in that 3x3 for the opening 2 or 3 laps, and then since then there's been plenty of opportunities. Right now it's the inside lane that's lagging back by about 8 or 9 car lengths. So is anybody from the middle going to cut down? Eventually, we know that run's going to come back to the 55 of Falkingham on the bottom. Does anybody from mid drop down low, or could we see the inside continue kind of stifle out? 2-driver breakaway, Helton and Lopez picking the outside. As you take a look at one of your playoff bubble drivers in Jordi Lopez below the cut line, but with a really good chance mathematically to race his way in here tonight. Of course, a win would help very much so as he rides in second.
You know, I mentioned the rise of BS Plus competition over the last few weeks, and it has been certain. Obviously, Garrett Lowe got the win at Iowa, cemented his place into the playoffs this year, but Jordi Lopez has been just as good. Top 10 in 4 of the last 5 races for the driver out of New Jersey. He has been someone that has sneakily been in the top 10. He's ran well, and he's put himself in this position. And sometimes in a short season like this, if you're not able to win, that's the best you can do. Jordi Lopez, I think, has that mindset to be aggressive up here, wants to fully lock in his ticket.
This is the view of Logan Helton, who's been impressive tonight. Not the season that he's wanted, not a win tonight that could get him into the playoffs, just in a poor points position, but he has navigated all 3 of these lanes in the early 15 laps of this race, found himself in the lead, just lagging back just a little bit right now behind Lopez, but he has cemented himself at the front of this pack early on, showing us so many different drivers have the ability to get up there and get it done tonight.
Feels strange to not have another visit to either Daytona or Talladega, any other comparable racetrack to look back on to compare results, with this being the only true super speedway race on the calendar. And by the end of tonight, we'll know the 10 drivers fighting for the championship. So if you want to stay in the loop as we march off and into the postseason, go to iRacing.com/eNASCAR for more info on the drivers in this series, the teams, the series standings, and more. You're going to see a big shakeup come the end of tonight when 40 becomes 10. We add all the bonus points in for segment wins, for race wins, for regular season points, and then reset and start it all anew from Michigan. 2 weeks time, September the 1st, is the regular season finale. The Coca-Cola featured drivers are on the move. The number 3 car of Blaze Crawford under the 7. That is Femi Olatumboshin, who had a bit of a scare a few laps ago. He's up now in the middle lane, and the driver that was pushing him not that long ago, Tommy Gossett, is now about to push the 25 of Christopher Hill to the lead from the front of the inside row.
We're looking at all these bubble drivers, the rookies, everyone in the middle of this. Femi Olatumboshin is right in the heart of it all, 17th in the standings and 21 back of the top 10 playoff cut line. This is somebody we were watching very closely at Richmond a pair of weeks ago, because if he had a big week, he could have easily vaulted into the top 10. He had a struggle-filled night, and it just didn't allow him to use the momentum to his advantage. And somebody, like many others in this field, he knows a thing or two about winning here at Daytona. Did it all the way back in 2022. So Femi Olatumboshin can be a very tough contender, and especially with some of his teammates in mind, I think he may be someone to watch for as this race continues.
Yet another name we haven't experienced much at the front of the field. Kenny Brady now leading this field. Came in to the points this race outside the top 20, but a win would vault him inside the top 20 and into the playoff tonight. A huge block heading down into the turn in front of Blake Reynolds. The drivers that need it, guys, I don't think it's a coincidence that we're seeing them run up front and be aggressive early and try to stay out front, and as we keep saying, avoid any mess behind them. I don't think that's a coincidence tonight, the final race before the playoffs begin.
I feel like we used to see a lot more drivers drop to the back and just ride around, and it feels like year after year more drivers employ the strategy of I want to go up front and just race it out. Right now you got a top 5 breakaway ahead of the 3 wide. The 86 of Blake Reynolds going to go to the outside of Kenny Brady. Everybody chooses to go with him, and just as quickly as Brady led 2 laps in a row, it is gone. He's going to be scooped up by the 3, but drops outside of the top 5 quickly. Steven Wilson is your defending race winner here at Daytona in the championship series. That was in last year's season opener, which kicked off an eventual championship campaign. First time he is in the discussion tonight. 19 spots gained from where he was on the grid, pushing the 01 of Tommy Gossett. That 01 machine of Gossett really likes the bottom, basically pitching a tent and camping out down there. Haven't seen him want to go anywhere else. Here goes Wilson to his outside.
And it's easy to stay to the double yellow line at the inside, and good on Tommy Gossett for having faith on the bottom. We saw them drop off significantly from the front bumper of Daniel Falkingham. We didn't see them as a contender, and the 2 outside lanes were able to take charge. A lot of that happens because of the huge checkups that result from all those cars on the inside. They're trying to push each other, so in a result, they back up onto each other in the run on the line, and then you'll have them overall slow down to not run each other over, and it creates just a less cohesive line. So Gossett is trying to make sure this works. They had another driver in Jordi Lopez, but again, all these rookies trying to make up the difference here and trying to move up to the front. We're seeing 3 different strategies employed very early on. You've got the bubble drivers trying to push forward, the drivers who are locked in just kind of hanging out, the drivers who are in rookie standings, who are close to the top 20 trying to go in for the win, and then those who maybe aren't in the top 20 and may not have a chance to at all tonight, and they're just here for the win. They're just here to do whatever they can to be as aggressive, put a win on the board, and now it's Christopher Hill at the very front with the FGR Excel eRacing cars right behind him in tandem.
Yet another new leader with Christopher Hill to the point right now. And then you have the 14 of Seth DeMerchant, who's been running well in past races, but the finishes just are not there. He's trying to make the top side work right behind Hill. Right next to them, more drivers trying to do anything they can to establish themselves as potential playoff contenders. Again, names we haven't seen toward the front of the field, but this final opportunity tonight, it's bringing something out. It is turning up the intensity as Christopher Hill leads with the pack trying to come up from behind.
We're just past halfway to being halfway through this race. Lap number 22 of 80 in the books. That was an aggressive move as the 24 Kerwin goes under DeMerchant, who has to seek refuge on the third lane. But now Kerwin has no help as he awaits a push from Daniel Falkenham. Those two drivers who we've talked about tonight that started on the pit lane, Malik Gray and Garrett Maines, are only now about 5 seconds in front of the pack. Look at Kerwin again, aggressive down to the inside. Second time in a row, though, he's cut under somebody, but nobody's gone with him. He'll eventually get picked up by the 47, but the 24 very much an instigator as we are soon to be catching those two drivers and putting them lap down, and there they are on the horizon as you look off of the onboard camera with Jake Nichols in the number 5 spot. If those two cars choose not to get off the racing surface and get out of the way, this 3-wide pack going to have to figure out a way to make 4-wide work to get around them.
It's going to be very tough, and I don't know if there's any communication between this main group of, hey, maybe we just slim out to 2-wide for a moment before the lap cars get there, because you know for a fact Malik Gray and Garrett Maines aren't going to get off the racing surface and be under the apron in order to let the entire field by. They're just going to be in that place of, hey, you get around us, you figure it out. This is not our problem. It is yours. And we've seen many a time where drivers end up trying to skirt around the lap cars. They thin the lines out. Daytona's not that wide of a super speedway. We don't have Talladega on the schedule, so you just don't have that idea of, yeah, we can go 4 or 5 wide and be rather comfortable. So I'm curious to see what Falkenham does as the leading car in this line and what everyone else does in response here.
And what he does could affect so many people, the dominoes behind him. The ebb and flow of this race. Casey Kerwin started close to the front. We saw him pursuing and being aggressive, kind of fade back just a little bit. Same with Falkenham. Now both of those drivers up leading this race as they're coming up here on the backstretch. Gonna have to make a decision here on these two lappers. Falkenham moves up, and it's Casey Kerwin now on the bottom lane. We'll see what the rest of the field can do as they are still 3 wide behind these cars.
Quarter of the cars are up top, a quarter of the cars are in the middle, and half the field is on that elongated bottom lane as a lot of drivers have dropped to the rear. Tinsley, Urashak, Novak, Zawak very clearly dropping back to the rear of this lead pack as we get closer and closer to the lapped cars. What do the leaders do? They're parked in the middle of the road, down to the inside, but a block from the 88 car. Look at that. Malik Gray trying to throw a block on the leader as he is desperately trying to stay on the lead lap with championship hopes hanging in the balance. The 55 of Falkenham gets around. Now the 6s go to the bottom, but I think it'll be mission accomplished for both Maines and Ray in terms of they were disruptive enough that they have just been absorbed into this lead pack, and now a fascinating fight between the two of them, because if one of them looks like the leader, it means they're on the lead lap, and if there were to be a yellow, that means they would not be stuck a lap down and the other would get the lucky dog. But if neither of those two cars are leading, only one of them could be the lucky dog, which would be huge. So while we watch the battle for the lead, just watch the 51 and the 88 and how they interact with each other, because that's the fight within the fight right now.
I just want to say, I mean, that was a very risky move by Daniel Falkenham, but you know what? I think it might have been the right one, because now both Rick Rare Racing Chevrolets are at the front of this field. Even though Garrett Maines is trying to unlap himself, he can stay up front to where if there is a yellow, he's already on the lead lap. They can keep Malik Gray at bay, and we can see the teammates try to meander around and maybe change the rhythm of this race as it moves forward. So I like that move by Falkenham. Save his teammate. Them working in tandem. At the end of the day, those are the two pink Chevrolets on the racetrack. And we saw what they did at Echo Park Speedway, the chance they had at the race victory that was squandered late. I like that call, a friend helping a friend. Falkingham making sure that Garrett Maines can be on the lead lap and not be in any trouble if we get a yellow.
So now we exhale from that, and we carry on as one large central pack. And with the exception of Casey Kerwin, who runs in the number 6 spot, he's the 4th car in line on the bottom in that Coca-Cola 24. The drivers who entered tonight above the cut line in a points pain advancing position, not running great. Sean Conklin, 23rd. Connor Urashak, 34 or 36th even. Wyatt Tinsley, 38th. So the live points would almost certainly have a handful of those drivers who entered tonight above the cut line below it as they run currently. Obviously, defense in mind, some of those names may not want to be a participant in what we've seen up in the top 10 all night, and it's this that Kerwin's dealing with. Big blocks, a lot of drivers shifting side to side. Big block on the front row that time as the 51 came up high.
And now they're really just starting to turn up the wicker on the aggression knob here. We're halfway through this race. Again, it's gone so fast. And this almost looks like the Daytona race in the opener last season. It was very chaotic, but it was still mostly clean through the first half, and then it all unraveled. Everyone feels more comfortable with their cars. They start to learn a little bit more of those aggressive moves, and they start to employ them. They throw it at the window and see if it sticks. And that was the Rick Ware Racing send by Garrett Maines to make sure he denied any of the movement from the very top lane. Seth Knoll trying to make a move on the bottom. That is for the lead on Daniel Falkingham. Best career run, guys, 13th at Richmond just a pair of weeks ago. How about the turn up for the Money Lap E-Racer Toyota now up front in turn 3?
We are 30 laps into this race, and it feels like we've had 15 plus different leaders. Everybody getting their shot at this 3-wide racing and putting themselves to the lead. Bobby Z not far behind, his ERA teammate also right there. Seth Knoll, this is the view from his car right now as he leads this race out front with Bobby Z, the multi-time winner, pushing him there on the bottom lane. Malik Ray still down, trying to fight himself back on the lead lap. But what racing we have right now as Dylan Basin, the rookie, tries to go for the lead.
And Malik Ray right now, the higher running of those two drivers a lap down. He'll draft with anybody to the outside now as he'll join Michael Cozy Jr. and the 97 of Tucker Minter up top. I thought for sure that when the 51 machine of Maines got with his Rick Ware Racing teammate Falkingham, it would be an advantage, but since that happened and they've stayed loyal to each other, it's Malik Ray's style of going anywhere and everywhere that has bettered the more conservative work-together strategy that the 51 is hoping he can extract from his teammate. Now it's the middle and the outside lane that have the advantage. 8 laps away from halfway home, in which we could see the pit lane open because drivers would be able to get to scheduled distance of 80 laps from about that juncture. Now remember, most of the races this year that have used any sort of overtime have used all of it. I bring it up only because it is Talladega and Daytona, racetracks where you expect something to happen late. Doesn't count as a jinx, it's just a stat. So drivers may need to keep more than just lap 80 in mind as a part of their bigger strategy here.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything further on that. I think I'm going to jinx it if we end up to that. And I'm going to get torn up by our producers and directors in the control room. But no, you're right. Of course, there is going to be that level of aggression that turns up. However, we are nearing that fuel window. It's going to get close to the start of the window in about 5 laps. So I think we may be ending this portion of the chaotic, go anywhere run and start thinking, hey, where are my teammates on the racetrack? Where are my Alliance back-end teammates? Where can we get together with them? Either stick to the bottom end or the mid portion of the racetrack and then start thinking about how our entry to pit road will start to get a little more feisty in that sense. And ERA Esports already starting to cling together to each other. Bobby Zielinski posted on social media earlier today, they're just going to let it rip. Those two, watch out for those two machines trying to work together, but it's Seth Knoll still at the front.
As Seth Knoll back to the point when now Michael Cozy Jr. trying to get himself into the lead, and he might do it right here. A little bump out of the way. Seth Knoll moves up, gives the opportunity to Cozy, who is now yet another leader in this race. We'll have to see if the ERA Esports drivers can team up we haven't seen too much of that, and those that have teamed up haven't been able to make much. I like what you said, Evan, about Malik Ray, who is loyal to everybody, right? When everybody is a potential friend, you can race and push and run with anybody. The teammates that try to run with each other, maybe not as many options, and it kind of hurts them. But Malik Ray doing really well, staying in front of this pack after starting where he did.
And some more team duos starting to show up. Both of those Williams F1 Team Gaming cars, the 4 of Donovan Strauss, the 95 of Parker White, they were working together in the middle lane. They have since split apart but are still close. Same with the ERA cars. It just seems like having a teammate close but not always on your hip is helpful. And again, to Kenneth's point, it is more than just those teams of two, the technical alliances, just like you would see a Chevrolet and a Ford and a Toyota work together in the NASCAR Cup Series in a race like this. You have all of those back-end alliances who work on the setups week to week that are also maybe loyal to each other in this race, as there is those 2 Williams F1 Team Gaming cars now side by side in positions 4 and 5. The 4 trying to make a third lane. Strauss to the center, as it's going to be another lap led for Zelensky this time by 13 different cars have led a lap already in this Daytona 200.
When you think about what's going on between the drivers at the front, you're also thinking team championship, right? How close that's been at the start of it all and how that's going to be a lot of fun. Look at the shirt for Parker White, repping Kyle Busch on Kyle Busch Day, 8:18.95 of the 4th car on the very outside lane. But team championship is going to be something to watch for. We've noted how Spire Motorsports is taking control with Steven Wilson basically carrying most of the weight there, but ERA is getting very close. Williams F1 Team Gaming have been right there with them. And here comes Zelensky with a push entering turn 4. It may not be enough to be in front. Oh, they're hip checking. Seth Knoll sideways. Blake Reynolds spinning around off the final corner. It's our first yellow to fly right around the halfway mark. Kenny Brady and others ending up in the spill. Not as big of a crash as we thought it would be, but it's the first big shakeup of the night.
And this is really going to be interesting because this is just outside of what we said is the fuel window at approximately 38 to 42 laps. The caution with 44 laps to go. They will obviously fuel under the yellow. They will be able to save fuel for the restart, but that is right at the tolerance. And when I mentioned you may want more than just 80 as your designated lap marker for your fuel strategy, we may see some drivers implement some aggressive fuel saving once we get this race back underway. It took a while. We knew that it was just not gonna be able to get away with this forever with how much movement and checkups and little jolts of side-to-side action in the corners we saw. And in the end, it's not nearly as bad as it could have been. There's about 3 or 4 drivers that get damage in this one that are 99 to machine. Garrett Lowe got up into the outside wall. He may actually have some of the worst damage. Blake Reynolds went around. KB called out the 33 of Kenny Brady, who spun out. He got tagged on the way by the number 15 machine of Matthew Zawak, who's making his debut for the season as a fill-in driver. So we'll wait to get a second look. But all in all, by Daytona standards, pretty happy that all these cars are still going to be on the racetrack.
You're always fearing the big one at these super speedways. Echo Park Speedway was the same, and maybe drivers felt a little more intense about that because it's a shorter racetrack, but you always expected to come around here at Daytona. I agree with your point. It could have been very much worse in that case, but only a few cars got the brunt of the impact. So here's the second look. Focus on that bright purple, white, and black Toyota Camry of Seth Knoll. He's going to be third in line as Bobby Zelensky makes his indoor pass. I think it might have just been the checkup right there as they were just moving up to the slower Zelensky, who was by himself. They got the run. The second car makes contact with the bumper, and then it checks up everybody beneath them. So it sandwiches Seth Knoll. He gets bumped up the racetrack, and they're 3 abreast at this point. There's not much space to occupy before you hit another car, and that easily is enough to carry this train reaction for the first wreck.
Yes, you always think it can be bigger, right? Or you just see who gets a piece of this. Possibly Jordi Lopez may have gotten some of this toward the end. We'll have to see, but we're just thinking of drivers who are trying to race their way into the top 10, if not with a victory and automatically get their spot, but point their way in. Every point, every position, every little bit of damage will matter. So the fact that this wasn't bigger is great news for many of these drivers.
And also, look what happened in front at the moment of caution. Malik Ray in the 88 machine, I believe, scored ahead of the lead car on the lead lap, meaning that he, at the moment of yellow, was not a lap down. He was a lead lap car, which should give Malik the opportunity to pit with the leaders. That's also good news for Garrett Maines, because it means that Maines was the only car a lap down and is going to get the wave around to rejoin the lead lap. So honestly, best case scenario for both of those two drivers, because we are back to 40 cars scored on the lead lap.
You know, we were talking about how crazy it would have been for 3x3 to get around only 2 lap cars in Maines and Ray, but I think that might have been the best case scenario for them because they were so fanned out across the speedway. You had every lane that was possibly available, so they had to just pick them up the way Falkingham picked up his teammate and the way Malik just put it in the middle of everyone and decided to run with anybody he could. I think it was definitely best case scenario on a super speedway.
About to cross halfway home in this regular season finale, where coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of eNASCAR. And by NASCAR 26, NASCAR's official video game. Pre-order now for Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. So a shakeup for the #1 position. Not sure how long it will last, but Bobby Zalenski was the lead car on pit road and did the same thing on pit road that basically everybody did. That was take 4 tires and fuel, but he ended up being the 3rd car off of pit road. The 12.1 second stop was the fastest we saw out of anybody, and it was the same time that both of the Williams F1 Team Gaming cars did. So Strauss and White will now cycle themselves up to the front row. Teammates going to get us set for a restart, coming to 41 laps to go.
I kind of like this out of the teammates, honestly. I mean, with how aggressive Donovan Strauss was at the beginning of this race, how Parker has just been hanging around. He's been 3rd or 4th in most of the lanes, but he's been in the right ones for the most part. Remember, Parker is a former winner here at Daytona, not under points-paying circumstances. He did win a Clash here not that long ago, so he knows a thing or two about getting to the front late, being able to win. But honestly, when you have teammates on either end of the spectrum, you can challenge the field on this restart, time it right, and control the tempo. That's what you want to do.
And Parker has nothing to worry about. He has a win. His teammate does not and needs the victory tonight to vault himself into the playoff. No better person to be starting next to, Evan, than your teammate.
On the cusp of the fuel window, 41 laps to go in the regular season. Green flag back in the air. It's a good start for Strauss on the bottom, assisted by Bobby Zalenski. Quickly, Strauss up in line with his teammate to give the 22 a chance to go back to the lead.
But watch the outside lane. If they get enough organization, they can push forward off of turn 2 and at least clear Zalenski for the 4 car on the main super stretch. And look who's 3rd in line. The bright cyan blue Logitech G Chevrolet of Tucker Minter. We haven't talked about him all night long. He's locked into the playoffs and points going into tonight's race. He's got nothing to lose, but he's up here anyway. And now here comes Logan Helton pinning through the middle with a fellow driver right behind. The rookies working together. Dylan Basin pushing the 42 to the race lead.
3 wide once again off this restart. You think this is the time for chaos right here, and we have a rookie in the middle trying to make this happen with the champion or multi-time winner Bobby Zalenski on the bottom, and outside Donovan Strauss. What a battle for the lead as we go 3 by 3 by 3, about 6 rows back at least.
Sometimes when you get away with one, we'll say at Daytona, a wreck that could have been a lot worse, it kind of sobers everybody up. They calm down. Other times it ramps things up. I think it's the latter in this case. Looks like the opening laps of this race where everybody bunched together trying to get every little bit they can from one another. as we are now officially halfway home in this regular season finale of this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. Helton leads the outside. It's Basin who leads the bottom/middle. Nobody below that middle lane for about 4 rows worth until you get back to the 22. Here comes Zelensky now. Draft help coming. The 7 sees the run, drops down. Bosin now looking to go to the top spot.
I almost wonder if we end up getting to see a peloton effect from the front of the field, because again, we were right on the edge of the fuel window when we got the restart. Drivers did save fuel, so they most likely can make it into the end. But you always, as a driver, have either a tire set available just in case for a late race scenario, or enough fuel in the tank if we end up getting eNASCAR overtime. I'm not sure if that's the full mentality of the field right now, but if I'm top 15, top 20, and I'm hanging in the mid-pack, just more than an incentive to save a little bit of extra fuel in the middle of this pack. Femi Olatimbulson, the race leader. We've seen moves all over the place. Now here comes Helton, not trusting the helper there in turn 1. Zelensky to the inside with Duvall to help for the lead.
And that's what it depends on your scenario. Some drivers have nothing to lose. Some drivers have everything to gain, and the only option is getting a victory. All these scenarios converging at once. If you are not one of those drivers, you have options for hanging back, potentially save a little fuel just in case this race goes a little bit longer. But Bobby Zelensky, who has plenty of wins and no worries about the playoffs, wants to score more bonus points before these playoffs get started. He can afford to be aggressive as Femi takes and goes to the lead.
Yeah, Bobby's out here thinking about some history. It's a 3-win season for him. He's done that a couple of times in his career. Has never won more than 3, though, in a season. Bobby would love to set a PB with another race victory here tonight in Daytona. Then you look at the TC Esports duo. They're doubled up in the middle lane of the racetrack, trying to work together. That's Jake Nichols and Matthew Morton, the 73 and the 35. Right now sandwiched in between. You see team cars up top. The 8 and the 88 have found one another. So it is no coincidence that we are seeing these pairs of 2. Look at the Logitech cars, not that far away from each other. A lot of teammates near one another. We'll see how committed they are to each other if we get to that point.
It's a crazy scenario as well for this team. Jake Nichols not in the top 20, but his teammate Matthew Morton is a brand new team. Thibaut Courtois Esports from the Real Madrid and Belgian goalkeeper, very much in the sim racing esports scene. And Matthew Morton, again, in high spirits a few weeks ago after a career best of 13th at Richmond. A driver who, if he wins this race, spoils the playoff party and gets right into the top 10. I'm liking what I'm seeing developing the back of this with the teammates trying to get together, because it only takes 2 to tango here at Daytona.
Up front, the GOAT once again, a great battle we've seen throughout the years. Bobby Zelensky, Steven Wilson on the bottom lanes 1 and 2 on the outside. Dylan Alt trying to push it 3 wide as he's getting pushed by Femi. All the way on the bottom, Steven Wilson getting pushed by another champion, Casey Kerwin. Experience all over the place now at the front of the field.
These Wilson and Zelensky battles really starting to feel like a lot of the Alfala and Conti battles of old, as 2 of the drivers in their prime, constantly up and in the conversation, fighting to become race win after race winner over and over again. There's the 7 of Olatimbulson. Thought about the middle, kind of stutter-stepped, then went back down to the double yellow. He wants to lead on the inside. It's the 7 and the 77. Spire Motorsports cars lined up on the innermost lane. Wilson going up, going to push the 7. Again, how long do you stay together? Do you work together as a matter of convenience, or do you stay loyal no matter what? It'll be as a matter of convenience. Olatimbulson's #1 priority, working those lanes to the bottom to block the 22 car. Sees it opening up top. Zelensky right up there to make a move. He doesn't care if he needs to wait a minute for the 12 to get to his bumper. That run's going to come, but he's got to survive the bump. It was one of those Zelensky bumps that caused the one and only yellow that we've seen thus far.
And Spire's doing a great job of holding on to the rhythm. I like the move by Femi. Blocked the bottom because he saw that open space on the top side of the racetrack. Now they're really starting to form things, but if you can block the bottom and then just let the outside figure things out with the less cars that they have up there, you may not have to worry about them for at least a few laps until they just rev up and start getting going like they will here off turn number 4 with the 47 of Dylan Alt leading that group and Dylan Duvall holding on to spots right in the middle. Again, Femi needs a great run or a win to get into the playoffs. Steven is already well more than locked in with a segment win and a pair of W's alongside. One of them coming at a super speedway. So I think I have a lot of trust if I'm Femi with my teammate right in front and it's working out.
And I'm just keeping
big
an eye.
issues there. Dylan Duval just lost a ton of time in turn number 2. I didn't see a noticeable bobble, but that car lost a ton of speed, and he is still a little bit slow. I mean, it completely tanked the middle lane. Whatever happened to Duval, he's back up to pace now, but that middle lane almost wrecked. Something happened with the track racer Toyota in turn 2.
And it completely broke up the 3x3 that we've had, and it's now made a single line down at the bottom with Steven Wilson leading the way. Dylan Alt right behind him, then Femi in the car. I'm looking at the 24 of Casey Kerwin. Such a precarious position as they move up, trying to make a second lane, but Kerwin comes into this race right on that cut line, needs to get as many points as he can, but that also means you have to be both aggressive and kind of patient, I would think, at the same time, but up front seems to be the safest place for the 24 car right now.
There's some lap traffic as well that the leaders are going to be catching here very soon, and that is Kenny Brady, who had some damage in the prior accident, had an extended stay on pit road to try to get that fixed. The car looks pretty good, but he could not get back with the lead group for the restart. So he's been running at a slower pace. 47 up with a big block on Zelensky. And once more, we're talking about a lead pack that is 3 wide, needing to navigate lap traffic that's going to happen any moment.
And the worst part about it is it's going to be 1 car versus 2. When you have at least a little bit more help, it kind of eases the blow a little bit. But when you're all by yourself, I don't think anyone wants to work with you, no matter what lane they are in. It's going to be Wilson that takes the brunt of the impact in all of that. Bobby Zelensky ends up taking the lead. Everyone gets flushed down. That was Michael Guest, the second car behind Wilson. Again, they just get trapped by the 33 to the inside. And one great thing about Vegas Inferno as a team, one of the relatively newer groups that have entered the world of eNASCAR, they're hosting a watch party right now. They had a watch party a little earlier on in the season. Now they're doing it here at Daytona to see if Michael Guest and Tommy Gossett can go at it for the win here at Daytona. Well, let's look at their reaction. There they go. Let's give it a little hype.
That's what I'm talking about. You got Houston Hot Chicken on the car with the watch party at Houston Hot Chicken. That's what you call brand synergy. That looks like a good time. Exactly. I think we need that brought up to the booth or something.
And there's an opportunity for Guest. We saw Gossett up front. Gossett has not had the season that you want, but they've been able to at least get some good PR up front. We'll see how they can finish this out, because it gets crazy at the front. Christopher Money Hill to the point. Femi, Olot, and Boson right behind him. And Ryan Lusa. Guys, Ryan Lusa has had a great last 5 races, but another driver, just the finishes aren't there. It's almost like you would think some karma's coming his way, some good karma to finally get a good finish. But we'll see what he can do in the 12. Another driver who needs a good point tonight just to maintain his playoff position, Wyatt Tinsley. This is the furthest we've seen him up front all night.
Losing one of the drivers as well that would be too far below the P20 cut to be able to win and points his way in to these playoffs. We've talked in recent weeks as the 12 Alusa right on cue almost gets into trouble with Basin when we've had the heat format and when we've had the sprint race format. There's been extra points on the line. Max points goes from 40 to 48 or up to 50, not tonight. So that severely limits where that plus safe line is and where that minus cut line is in terms of who can get in and who does not have a chance. Steven Wilson, who was leading not that long ago, that inside line was decimated, and when they caught up to the lap traffic machine to Kenny Brady, Steven went from the lead to 15th in one single lap. He's going to have to try to dig himself back out of that hole because it has dropped him way down the running order as we continue to get closer and closer, now inside of the final 30 laps of this race. On board with Nate Stewart. He is the 3rd car in line in the center. He's got a big windshield full of Dylan Duval, who in front of him is trying to push Christopher Hill.
And one thing about Nate Stewart that we don't see right now is that he's got a bit of front nose damage. I think in that situation with Dylan Duval, there might have been either a big checkup or something that occurred to where this Ford Mustang Dark Horse got a bit of that front end nose damage. Now, it's not that big of a factor and detriment when you're in the middle of a pack trying to push other drivers, but it does matter when you are the leading car on a straightaway at a super speedway where you're a foot flat to the floor. You're shaving off maybe a mile or two an hour down the straightaway, which means so much when you have all these cars packed up together and you don't want to check them up. So Stewart is just hanging back where he can right now, just watching this all unfold. Malik Ray almost made it 3 wide for the lead in turn 3.
Yeah, the same Malik Ray that was a lap down that raced his way back on to the lead lap and is now battling for the lead as we look out the driver's side windshield of Ryan Doucette back in 12th. What a run. This is showing if you have the ability to make the run and learn this type of racing, you can get to the front. Malik Ray is showing us that. So many different leaders tonight, as now as Dylan All and Dylan Basin are at the point of this field. But Ryan Doucette back here just a little bit. You can see the patience you have to have, the concentration you have to have as we are single file for about the first 5 cars and 2x2 after that.
See how long we stay at 2x2. We basically had some element of 3 wide all the way up until that yellow flag that came 38 laps or so into this race, basically the entire opening fuel run. It was not the 3x3, 7-8 rows deep like it was right off of the jump, but the field never really spread all that far out. And right now it's Basin leading the top with a 4-car length advantage. Over Dylan Alt, who's leading the bottom. The 20 is going to go down low. Tinsley just doesn't have a chance to clear, though. If nobody goes with him, he drops back. The 47's going to give him a shot right off of 2, though. It's one of the more dangerous positions to give a shot like that. The inside needs a moment to get going, and it is an absolute sprint up top as the middle and the outside rocket a couple of car lengths ahead, backing off to turn number 3. The lead pack is 37 cars strong, 2.1 seconds separate all of them. Kenny Brady, 1 lap down in 38th. We saw him get lapped a few laps ago. Also, Garrett Lowe and Matthew Zawak, black flag penalties for required repairs after the one and only yellow, as the 55 is on the apron and is going to hold it on the apron. Falkingham gets through the tri-oval after he got out of line way early off of turn 4.
And remember back to the point, guys, that I made about the curved rear bumpers. There is some damage on the back end of the 55 of Daniel Falkingham. It was Christopher Hill that gave him the push off of turn 4, and it got him all out of sorts, and he's now to the inside. So again, that just shows you a bad push can take you out of it in a matter of a few seconds. So look at those 2 cars on the very inside. It's off turn 4 right about here. There's slight contact. Curved rear bumper just got him out of the angle. Great save by Falkingham. Great merge back in line, but track position killed as a result.
And now, not that it's easy anywhere, but that bump coming off the corner, I think a particularly sensitive spot to be making any kind of a push like that.
Yeah, but fortunate where it was and how much racetrack he had down there to save it and still be able to go on in this race. Look at the new leader, Malik Ray, to be out there in front. And this is where the real drama is, because you have to get the win, but he also has to race himself into the top 20. That's going to be up to some other people. Is there some contact? Dylan Basin goes for a spin on the inside of the racetrack. No caution so far.
He is able to keep it off of the inside wall, and he is off of the racing surface, so we stay green. But what a hit for Dylan Basin, who's going to drop all the way to the rear. This race will stay under green flag racing conditions. Malik Ray was in this same spot on the racetrack, but as a lap down car about 20 laps ago. Now he is leading this race in Daytona. What a comeback for the driver who qualified on pole but had to start from pit road.
You never can quite underestimate what can go down in these super speedways. You can never count yourself out. If you were Malik Ray or Garrett Maines and the 88 car believed that he can stay up front and had the perfect situation in his lap, and with just about 20 laps to go, he's in prime position. This is where Malik Ray likes to hibernate at the front of this field in the final few laps. He's got help from the outside. It's not much, but remember who's the third car back there? Steven Wilson. He can push Matthew Morton to get the outside lane rolling. That's what they have off turn number 4 and into turn 1. Malik Ray to the race lead.
Malik is not quite in position for win and in. He needs some help from other drivers to vault himself into the top 20, but a win is a must. After that, he can worry about later. But now he's being pushed by Steven Wilson, an aggressive push from the multi-time champ as now Wilson drops low and tries to get the lead for himself. Christopher Hill behind him.
Steven Wilson, segment number 1 winner on the year. He's got more bonus points headed his way for the start of the postseason. Garrett Lowe, your segment 2 winner. Reminder, tonight we'll also crown your segment 3 winner. They'll get 5 additional bonus points as we head off into the postseason, which could make a big difference when we talk about being in or out of a championship 4 cut in about a month and a half's time. Wilson leading up front, Hill pushing. The first car in line that hasn't led a lap tonight is Tucker Minter in that blue 97, the Logitech machine. 4th in line in the middle. Where's he going to go? He's got a big run. He'll just stay in line for the moment. Nobody wanting to cut. Now there it is. It was open. He goes down to the inside. His teammate sidestepping the 77 as well. And now the Logitech Chevrolet is linked up once more in the middle.
And Tucker still has something to fight for. I know that he's virtually locked in on points to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series playoffs, but we mentioned segment 3, 5 playoff bonus points. That matters a ton when you have a short playoff run up until Homestead, Miami. Oh, Steven Wilson trying to block in front of Malik Ray. They're sideways, bouncing off each other. There's the spin, and there's the big one. Ryan Doucette, Seth the Merchant, a few other cars escape. And our second yellow flag comes out with 19 laps to go.
And just like the first one, it was nothing spectacular or out of the ordinary that kicked it off. It was moves that they had gotten away with time after time. And this time it just did not work out in the end. Wyatt Tinsley going to be scored as your leader. He was oh so close to being involved in that accident, but the bottom, as it so often is, ended up being the safer place to be because they had all of that paved apron in the short chute down to turn number 1 to basically use as an escape route.
And yet another leader, Wyatt Tinsley, racing for the win always, but again, one of those people near that cutoff point of the top 10 in points. The top 10 make the playoff. Wyatt Tinsley needs to put himself, maintain that spot. Of course, a win automatically qualifies him, but drivers like him, Casey Kerwin, trying to maintain that spot and not be jumped from someone outside getting a victory. With 18 laps to go, Evan, you've mentioned it before, that there is another set of tires. There is maybe an outside, maybe not so much with the caution, fuel questions, concerns, an option to pit here maybe for some if they want it.
I will ask resident crew chief as of now, Kenneth Bueno. KB, what are you thinking? Do you pit if you're behind the wheel, or does that matter if you're up front versus if you're in the back?
I think you stay out. I think the point is that you saved enough fuel on the recent yellow right around halfway mark of the race, so you probably saved at least an extra lap or 2, maybe 3 laps to make it until the distance of the checkered flag. So I think here it's worthy to save the track position. I don't think you want to put yourself down in the middle of the field, especially knowing how aggressive this field has turned up as this race has progressed. I don't want to be back in 27th place and then everyone is trying to just basically kill each other at the front of this field, and then you end up in it, and then you think to yourself, yeah, I regret not staying out and being ahead of this chaos. I think I like the staying out call. If you're fine, you're saving fuel now, just like you did on the last yellow, I don't think coming down pit road is going to be too much of a smart call, understanding what could happen in the next 15.
Well, Cozy, one of the first drivers to pit, he was running in the number 12 position. He did not have damage in that accident, but he pits along with about, call it a dozen other cars. We'll get you the full list in a minute. First, here's a second look at what happened. The 77 leading the outside lane, sees the run coming from the middle, and just a little either late on the commitment or loose off of the nose of the 88 gets him stuck in between 2 lanes, and they just could not recover.
The one easy thing that happens, Evan, at these super speedway races that can start trouble is intense blocking, number 1, but number 2 is pushing in the corners. There are a lot of drivers that don't like being pushed in the corners because they know the risks that go along with it. Now, I don't think that it was a case of any fault to Malik Ray. He's just trying to push Steven Wilson to the front. But again, you're in a corner, you are in the tri-oval. There is eventually going to be a car that bobbles around, and that's what happens with Wilson. And that lost speed is more than enough to check up the outside, and then everyone bounces off each other as a result of that 3 and 4 wide. And great avoidance by Femi Olatunbosin. Again, trying to survive to make the playoff, and that's a move that can very much get him closer to that. There's the slight contact. It checks everyone up. And again, look, they're going to stack 4 wide right there, and then it's just a ping-pong match between those cars in the middle.
In the checkup, you're waiting to see who even got the slightest amount of damage. Again, points is still a battle back here. It's getting air. What was that, the 36 car? I think got a little air after he hit the grass. An eventful, albeit could have been worse, type of caution here at Daytona as we roll around. 17 laps to go with Wyatt Tinsley at the point.
So the mixed bag on pit road saw Cozy, the highest running driver in the field, to come down to the pits. He's not the only one that was in for service, though. We also saw Blake Reynolds, Tommy Gossett, Thomas Lloyd, Jake Nichols, Femi Olatunbosin, Jordy Lopez, Ryan Doucette, Dylan Duval, and Kenny Brady come down to the pit lane for service. Looks like forced to pit road going to be Reynolds, Duval, and Logan Helton, as they have black flags for either penalties when the yellow flag happened or just required repairs for the damage that was garnered on those cars. So what that means is your top 26 drivers are those who stay out. 27th position on back is when we'll be looking at drivers who were down pit road. Some of them took no tires, some took 2, some took 4. Very much a mixed bag from the drivers who decided to pit from the back. And now it doesn't matter what's gone on in the 64 laps that have been completed thus far. We're going to have a 15-lap sprint to the end of this race. They got Wyatt Tinsley up there, who was 11 points above the cut line into tonight. Of course, a win makes the math very easy for him because it doesn't matter. He's locked in no matter what. But remember, if somebody behind Wyatt and Casey Kerwin were to win, then 2 drivers who were above the cut line entering tonight end up fighting for 1 spot. So there's a lot on the line for all of those names. Behind them, Bobby Zelensky, Tucker Minter, Vicente Salas, Steven Wilson, 4th position on back. They're all locked in. So do they have no holds bar mentality? Can they go out there and just throw caution to the wind? You got the JRM team, the 8 and the 88 side by side. They'll be back on rows 4 and 5. So a lot of storylines as we get set for what could be the final restart of the afternoon.
Those JRM cars, Dale Jr. owned and operated right there. You're going to need some Dale Jr. skills if Malik Ray or Zach Novak are going to get this victory and get themselves in the playoffs. Again, we've seen Malik Ray go from back to front and lead this race. Still needs some help in terms of the points, but 14 laps to go and we take this green flag to do it.
20 car Wyatt Tinsley under the flag stand. He goes with the green flag back in the air. Quick move up to the outside. So the Logitech car is going to be lined up on the bottom. Hill going to get a push from Tucker Minter. How quickly did we see a 3rd lane sprout out? They've done it by the time we got to turn 2. On every restart we've seen so far tonight, still no takers. There they are, but they're back in the 20s.
That's Casey Kerwin on the very outside, the Coca-Cola machine that's trying to make a move. He doesn't have much help, though, so they need much more patronage in order to make things work. It was a smart move by Wyatt Tinsley. Took the outside. He had a huge gap on the restart. Dylan Alt right there to help him. Nobody else making a move. Now the Coca-Cola Chevrolets are working together. Blaze Crawford, now Zach Novak leading the 3rd line.
Wyatt Tinsley fighting for his position, fighting not only for the win, but if someone outside the top 10 were to get that win, it could be Wyatt Tinsley himself who gets bounced out of the playoff, trying to play offense and defense at the same time as the 86 car gets a black flag coming down pit road here, past before the yellow for that 86 car. But now Wyatt Tinsley has challengers behind and on the outside. Vicente Salas looking to make it 3 wide.
There's a lot of contact on the outside lane. Those moments of give, however far and few between they were, are gone. The 20 car sideways, but somehow Tinsley doesn't spin. Down to the bottom to catch it. 4 wide behind. Zelensky sees the risk. He tries to drop out of it. Nate Stewart's on the apron. There they go. The 4 car is turned. Strauss is involved. Yellow flag number 3.
You knew something was going to bowl over at one point. What a save by Wyatt Tinsley. Almost could have crashed in front of the entire field. They check up, and it takes a while. The domino effect catches up to the mid-pack, and not the situation that Donovan Strauss wanted to see. Again, out of the cut line fight. He's more than double digits out of the top 10, and his work up through the field is going to get squandered in a few seconds down the tri-oval.
You said it. One car can check up and make the save. It's what everything going on behind that one car that catches up to many in the field, that domino effect. Slowing down, checking up, going from the fast speeds to slow cars in front of you creates this chaos for so many drivers.
And Bobby Zalenski tried so hard to not have this accident happen. I mean, you have the huge save up front, and then Bobby Zalenski gets put 4 wide. He lifts out of it. To get out of the 4 wide, they get down to 3x3. Nate Stewart's on the apron. They have a chance to take kind of a half breath. Bobby moves up for Nate to come up, and as they were doing so, the 4 car, a Strauss, starts making a move up top, and in an instant, 3 wide became 4, and it fell apart. Here it is. First, watch the 20. Big save. Now there's Zalenski in a 4 wide situation, trying to get up to speed. He's going to get away with it. They get back to 3, and then right here, Stewart's going to come up. Zalenski's going to come up. But look at the 4. As they're coming up, the 4's coming down. And 2 groups of cars on a trajectory to one another that neither could foresee make that move to the middle at the same time, and this is how it ends.
And the words of Ryan Vargas on Countdown to Green, not clear for Donovan Strauss. I think he felt that he was going to clear those cars on the bottom by maybe an inch or 2, following in the train of Matthew Morton, that gold and blue TC Esports number 35. He's the 3rd car in line on the inside. But look at this save. My goodness. Bounces off Malik Ray, loses a couple miles an hour, and more often than not, that's a crash in front of every single car in this field. A wonderful job by Wyatt Tinsley. Enough an effort for Bobby Zalenski to try to get out of a potential crash. But unfortunately, it's just the hooking of the 4 that gets him involved in a few others.
Biggest wreck we've seen thus far in this race. Let's go on board with Sebastian Marin in the center.
Check up, check up, check up. Can't see anything. Gets you safely. That's the way to do it, guys.
And what's most telling to me from that is the angle you didn't see. And that is, if you got a guy check it up that hard, the fact that he didn't get run over from behind. Credit to everybody else in line for getting on board with that and check it up big time. A couple of drivers going to receive some damage and are forced to pit road. Nate Stewart, Michael Cozy, Michael Guest, Connor Urashak, all down pit road. Dylan Duvallo and Helton with a heavier damage have to pit. They have required repairs on their cars. And now we will bridge ourselves inside of the final 10. Of course, the majority of cars on the yellow prior to this one opted not to pit at this juncture. We will not see that conversation even come back up for the lead cars. They are committed to staying out and trying to run this race to the end with an indeterminate amount of laps under the green flag to remain. Well, as we wait to get this one back underway and you are starting thinking about how can you get in on the action, well, NASCAR 26 is just around the corner. It launches 1 month from today. That's September 18th on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC through Steam. You can scan the QR code on screen to pre-order now. And if you go for the Gold Edition, you're talking about 4 monthly paint scheme DLC packs, 1,000 career mode rep points, and a $10,000 career bonus to get your career campaign started.
And also some features. Alan, the Chase is going to be in it for the first time. You've got Steve Letarte with an in-game training mode. I think I'm going to be farming that to be a better driver. And brand new circuits. Look at St. Pete, Qualcomm Circuit, Naval Base Coronado. It's exciting.
And I just love, especially until I play the game, I just love the screenshot of that right there, the golden sunset of Homestead where they make the champion. The day into night, it's such a beautiful scene to raise a champion. We'll have that in the game.
I think I found the bullet point that is adjacent to the screenshot that you liked, and that is visual upgrades, improved graphics, skies, dynamic lighting, and some of the fun stuff too. We can talk about all of the, nitty gritty, but it looks a little bit better too, and that's always fun. So again, you can pre-order that now, coming out in exactly 1 month from today. Well, we are going to have a restart now with 9 laps to go, and now we go through the conversation we always do, Kenneth, on it. 9 to go. You can't really race it like it's a 9 to go because every yellow from this point on is going to take at least 4 laps out of this thing. Opportunity is going to be limited. Patience going to be non-existent.
It's very thin, and like you said, it really doesn't exist at this portion of the race. And think of the drivers that are at the front. I mean, the mixed batch. You've got Dylan Alt, a driver who has struggled for a good part of this season. Malik Ray as well. Two drivers that may not be able to point their way into the top 20 just via this win alone, but they're going to be in it for a win anyway. Wyatt Tinsley, who sort of like Casey Kerwin, they're above the cut line entering tonight, but it feels like they're being aggressive to protect their place, not really to gain anything more on anyone else. Zach Novak, he's got his teammate right in front of him. We know he's outside of the playoff cut line. So if Malik Ray isn't going to win this race, his next objective is going to help his teammate get into the playoff. He was one of the finalists last year.
Malik Ray's situation just so interesting because he could get the victory and still not advance. He has to be in the top 20, but there is clearly a path for him to get a victory and get the points he needs, but it may come down to a calculator and a little drama after a checkered flag. He's got to get the win first. 9 to go at the line.
Green flag back in the air. It's a good start for Dylan Alt on the bottom. Now where does the 47 for Hayek Motorsports go as they get up through the gears? Does he stay low? Tinsley, Salas pushing on the bottom. We know the run is coming at some point. From the middle lane, it's just a matter of when. Alt still holding low. The side's got a 4-car length advantage. There goes Salas underneath. Alt going to decide to go up and block the center.
It was uncharacteristic, a bit of a sluggish restart by those on the outside lane, but they finally got the giddy up off of turn number 2 to the super stretch. Dylan Alt out in front. There are the Logitech G Chevrolets in the middle. If they can make a third lane, the opportunity might open up right now. Ryan loses that lead car on the very top side of the racetrack. 8 laps to go. It's Salas and Alt in the fight for the lead.
There goes the 88 car, Malik Ray, jumping out of line. 31 points below P20 into tonight. Look at the 20 car. Wants to go with him. Alt blocks once, now twice, and is able to stay up in front of Wyatt Tinsley. How about Blaze Crawford trying to lead through the center? We haven't talked much about that Coca-Cola machine, but now he gets blocked by the 77 of Wilson, who gets blocked by the 47 of Alt. 3 wide in a battle for the win in Daytona. Going to be 7 laps to go this time by.
Someone like Wyatt Tinsley needs to finish this race. Someone needs to be telling him the situation and calming him down. Malik Ray needs to win the race. They have 47 of Dylan Alt in front of them, but everybody has their own scenario. Now it is 3 by 3 from the beginning, the front 2, all the way back to the back of the field.
And if they stay 3 by 3 and the front rows lined up, it's going to be hard to make moves. Now the middle struggling. A lot of checking up going on behind Steven Wilson. That's the opening. The car's up high wanted. Now it's the 20 of Tinsley to the bottom. Malik Ray went once, then jumped back up top. Now Tinsley down to the very inside. Malik Ray down to the center. He's got his teammate, the number 8 is Zach Novak, on his bumper. Casey Kerwin, somebody else who is in on points coming into tonight. How much risk is worth it for the 24 car on the front row?
And Kerwin has front end nose damage as well. There's a dent on the Chevrolet. You see it there coming into turn 1. So how much would that affect the performance of the outside lane? The answer right now, it's not affecting them that much. The inside's going to have the run. Here's the replay on the bottom. Michael Guest found trouble. Looks like turn 3, back straightaway entering there. Got a hit to the outside wall, but we're going to stay green. It's mano-a-mano between Chevrolets at the front. Here comes Wyatt Tinsley for the lead.
Tinsley and Kerwin trying to get it on points, trying to cement their position. Then you have the number 8 of Zach Novak in the JRM car trying to race his way in potentially on points, but he doesn't care about that. He wants the victory. The number 8 car at Daytona on the bottom lane going to the lead. 5 laps to go.
Kerwin dropping down 4 wide. Are they going to be able to make it work? The 73 as Nichols squeezed into the outside wall. They just can't find an opening to get away from the 4 wide. Up front, 4 big blocks from Junior Motorsport Chevrolets. It's Ray leading the outside, Novak in the center, and Tinsley on the bottom. No shock, those 3 names may be the 3 most aggressive since we went back green, and they are still 4 wide behind the leaders. Here comes Wilson now to the center. He's got the push from Crawford. No love to his teammate. Malik Ray goes around the 8 car to the apron now. Trouble with the 11. Tucker Minter sideways. Somehow he saves it.
And Salas is spinning to the inside of the racetrack. We'll see if he comes back up and creates a crucial yellow to bring out overtime. It's right now Steven Wilson at least 2 times in the last 2 laps. He's hit an Allen Iverson Hezzy crossover to try and get to the inside. Christopher Hill right behind down the super stretch. Blaze Crawford on the high side. Wilson is everywhere trying to block. 3 laps to go next time by.
At least 3 accidents in turn number 2, but none of the cars spun out. They all went into the outside wall, so this race is still green up front, looking to 3 to go.
Christopher Hill in that number 25. His only option for making the playoff is to get a victory here with now 3 laps to go. He's going to have to get past Steven Wilson, one of the GOATs of the sport, to do it. Blaze Crawford on the outside trying to play spoiler to everybody.
At this point, a yellow would push us to overtime. If we get to the white flag, this race is official. The 77 of Wilson on the bottom. It's the 3 of Crawford in the center. And up top, what a story it would be for the 01 car of Tommy Gossett. 4 wide again now. Ola Timbosin to the outside. Now the 20 of Tinsley. 3rd lane outside. He wants to lead, but the 77 of Wilson jumps to the middle. So good at finding the momentum at 2 to go.
Yeah, they just don't have outside momentum between Tinsley and Gossett. You see them trying to pinch everybody in the middle lane to side draft. There goes Tucker Minner spinning into turn number 1. Gossett and Femiola Timbosin are involved. And it's not over yet from Daytona.
Oh, and still wrecking. More cars spin late. Quentin Warman into the accident in the number 50 car. He got hit, slowing up for the wreck. The 16 of Ryan Doucette off and in the grass. And should state right away, the accident for Tucker Minter will not matter. That car is already locked in to the playoffs, but still not an accident that he wanted to have happen. In contention for the win. There are going to be other notable drivers with damage. Tommy Gossett got pinched up against the fence. I think also Femiola Timbosin going to come away with some of the most.
Quentin Warman came into this race just 4 points out of a playoff position, provided there is no new winner. Tough end for him. We'll see a replay here what exactly happened, but with the laps winding down, the aggression hanging at the top.
And we've just seen these checkups, these staggered lanes. They're 3 wide on the bottom and about 2 lanes worth of space. They got a whole lane up top right there. It's Zelensky, I think, who gets hit from behind. Bobbles. The 97 gets turned in, and watch late for the 50 car there. That is where Quentin Warman's championship hopes may come to end. He was well behind the accident itself, but somehow ended up involved late. There's a shot from somebody who just could not find any way around it, and there's going to be some damage on that machine.
The double casualty there. Not only Warman going nose first into the outside wall, Femiola Timbosin probably getting the worst damage out of that incident there in turn 1, and he also comes in tonight around the place of Quentin Warman, actually in a worse position, so his chance for a playoff hope maybe dashed there, but it was really just caused, I think, I saw the inside line check up a little bit, move up high, but I think it's also from just the narrowing, the bottlenecking effect that Tommy Gossett and Femi were doing on the high side. There's a huge side draft effect with these next-gen cars on the super speedways. So your last resort when you don't have enough cars on the top is just pinch to the bottom. Hope that you can drag them back, take the air off their spoiler, and kind of hurt a couple miles an hour on the straightaway. I mean, when you narrow up like that, there's no real estate. And when there's no real estate, there's probably contact and a crash.
All these drivers just taking a deep breath. Steven Wilson just looking for another win. Blaze Crawford trying to get a victory on his resume. Not much playoff hope for him. Garrett Maines, another one who's trying to do the best he can right now to just get that victory. But then I look at someone like Kenny Brady with a victory and maybe a little help in the points. He could vault himself into the top 20 and playoff position. Here's another replay. That's Quentin Warman out front.
He's behind the accident, 19th position, and he's going to get on the binders because they're wrecking in front of him. And Thomas Lloyd behind, again, not a teammate, just does not get that memo in time. And as the 50 starts to check up, he gets turned into the outside wall, and that, unfortunately, is likely what will keep Quentin Warman out of the playoffs in 2026. Not likely would have been able to get the job done from 19th position anyways. He needed to leapfrog several drivers if he wanted to get in. So he needed a yellow of sorts, I think, to just mix something up. He just could not afford to be the reason for that yellow. In Quinton Warman is going to have to restart from way back in the number 27 spot with some front-end damage on that car. Never say never, but certainly maybe the final nail in the coffin for his hopes, which were already a touch of a long shot coming into tonight. And I'm just really fascinated by where the drivers above the cut line run. I mean, the four that were to the good on points, Kenneth, coming into this race, Wyatt Tinsley, he's P6. Sean Conklin, he's P12. Connor Yurashak is P19. Casey Kerwin is P28. It's not like they're all having a good night or they're all having a bad night. They are spread all throughout this field, which makes it virtually impossible for me to do any sort of math on who's in and who's out.
Yeah, and it's also just a representation of the philosophical ideas that these drivers have going into this race. It almost felt like Kansas City Pioneers, specifically Casey Kerwin, they were aggressive at the front because a good finish is just going to further solidify your confidence of making the playoffs. And then those drivers like a Euroshak, some that we haven't really seen in contention for the front all night long. I think they've had the idea throughout the race that surely there was going to be some chaos and a big crash in front. If Euroshak is far enough behind it, can just stay out and be able to get out of the mix and just be able to naturally gain positions. And there it is. Somehow, Christopher Hill is going to be ahead of Casey Kerwin out of that. So this is still far from over. That's only 2 points, by the way.
And look at Warman and what that issue did to his night and playoff potential and shot at $100,000.
Yeah, he just lost 8 spots from being in that wreck. He went from 19th to 27th. He's out by 5. So before the wreck may have been in. Now he can still get more back, but that may be a defining moment.
Yeah, I mean, this is still 2 laps to go, right? We have possible multiple overtime restarts. You can easily gain 5 spots in maybe half a lap or less here at Daytona, like we've already seen from the way this field has moved around and jockeyed. But now this is probably the biggest point of the race where if there is going to be a crash, it's going to happen here and probably at the front of this field. So, you know, Warman had a huge hit to the outside wall there, but he got his car repaired. That's the biggest point of it all. It's not too worse for wear. 5 points is virtually nothing here at Daytona, where we've seen almost everything go down in any kind of way.
Going to be the final 2 laps coming up of the regular season, although more times than not, we've used a lot more than attempt number 1 when going into eNASCAR overtime this season. Steven Wilson, already locked in, is going to headline a restart with so much on the line for the cars lined up behind him. 2 laps to go. This is eNASCAR overtime. Green flag in the air.
Great restart by those 2 on the inside, but watch the Coca-Cola machine of Blaze Crawford. He has his teammate in tow right behind. We've seen the outside have huge runs coming down to the Daytona Superstretch. It's a matter of time if they find trouble before or after that point. Here comes the help from the 33. Brady helping his teammate. Blaze Crawford noses ahead. They are still dead even coming down to the Superstretch as here comes Malik Ray to the top side.
Time is running out to make that 3rd lane work. We've seen it on every restart, but they're going to have to do it quick. Malik Ray out there on a bit of an island, 4 or 5 cars back. He's going to need some help to get the momentum and be that driver on the outside as they are caution. Caution is flying on the scoreboard before we hit the 1 to go.
Seth DeMerchant is in the outside wall off of turn number 4. It happened at the complete back end of this field. And we will have to go to attempt number 2. I thought we had it. Those leaders were looking good, all things considered, coming off of the quarter. And the accident happens back in battle for about P29 at the rear of the field. We'll see what happened. Some sort of an incident involving both Seth DeMerchant and Nate Stewart. You're looking for the 14 and the 5 as they navigate turns 3 and 4.
I think, honestly, guys, that might have been the tamest restart we've seen all night, and that was the first attempt at overtime. So here's the look. There's that beige, orange is number 14. He's going to cut through the middle. It looks like Nate Stewart just moves up the racetrack. I don't know whether he wanted to tuck in line behind the 14 or what, but Stewart moves up about a half lane, and they're right next to each other. That is easily contact. And it's going to put everybody back under overtime. This almost is looking like Echo Park Speedway, Alan, with Steven Wilson and Garrett Maines in contention for the win at the end.
Just seen it before. And to quote our friend Blake McCandless, racing for 73rd and caution. What I saw back there was Casey Kerwin, who is trying to maintain his spot via points, and he was in the back of this field. Again, we just saw the live points update. It's going to change with every lap and every restart, but Casey Kerwin hanging out at the wrong end of this field right now.
And Casey almost got took out in that one because when DeMerchant got turned, he was about a half a foot from clipping Urashak. If he hits Urashak, Kerwin's likely in that wreck. And we're likely talking about something that's a lot bigger. Well, as we look forward to the playoffs, the world of eNASCAR only continues to ramp up into the fall season as the 2026-27 eNASCAR College iRacing Series is almost back in session. Scan the QR code on screen now to register for the 2026-27 campaign because the fall semester is getting underway very shortly. We talked about some of the highlights for the College Series this season where the IMSA-backed events are going to showcase the Ford Mustang GT4 for the first time ever. September 15th is when the qualifying weeks open for the first week of the year, with those races happening at Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta. So scan the QR code. For those who are going to be joining us here on the iRacing Esports Network, you'll see a lot of familiar faces and names as there's plenty of crossover with these Coke Series drivers. Well, here's a look at the live points as they run now. Casey Kerwin, the bubble man, 1 single point to the good, which means that Christopher Hill, 1 single point in the negative. Now, the downside for Christopher is he's got less positions to gain. He's 5th, but he can only gain 4. Casey Kerwin, way down the running order in 25th. He's got a lot more positions that he can pick up. I would say that benefit goes to Casey slightly, but Kenneth, if basically any name on the right-hand side of that screen wins it, Casey's +1 would turn into a -22, and we're talking about a Urashak being on the bubble.
Yeah, that's almost why he was so aggressive all night long. I think it's because he doesn't want to open that door up for a possible new winner. He wants someone like a Steven Wilson to go to victory lane, or someone that's very much outside of the top 20, and not someone that's flirting around that line or around the top 10 around it. But you go back to 14, I mean, that's about 10 or so points separating them. I mean, it is very much far from over, and any one of those guys, all it takes is a lucky break in the right line at the right time, and that's enough points to be tied for the cut line if there's not a new winner.
One more reminder that we are 1 month away from the launch of NASCAR 26, which is available September 18th. You can scan the QR code now to pre-order NASCAR 26 for the console of your choice. Going to be available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and through Steam via PC. Also, if you decide to go for the Gold Edition, I talked about some of the bonuses you get for that, from rep points to career bonuses and DLC packs. You also get 3 days of early access, which means that you would be able to drive earlier than anybody else on September 15th.
It's really cool. So exciting, Alan, to see a brand new NASCAR game on console. I think iRacing Studios capturing NASCAR 25 was a huge excitement pool, and Kyle Larson doing a burnout on an aircraft carrier to launch NASCAR 26 on the cover. Going to be a great game.
Yeah, certainly it will be, and it's fun. You get the multiplayer aspect, the online multiplayer aspect. You can play with your friends. You can throw sliders. You can run the hill, run the wall at Homestead trying to win a championship. It's fun, slightly less serious than what we're watching tonight, and fun is the name of the game, especially when it comes to NASCAR 26. So looking forward to the new options and some of the new stuff they have.
Guys, we should ramp it up sometime on N26 whenever it comes out. Let's do a 3v3, whatever, 1v1v1, PvP.
Yeah, I mean, let's just not stream it, because if that goes as any good as publicly making my William Byron Esports Bracket Challenge pick was, I don't want anybody to see how it ends.
Guys, I am a former quarter midget champion. I just want to let you.
All right.
Scared.
Well, now I want to back out. I think I've signed myself up for more than I can chew. We're going to get attempt number 2 at overtime here, as the 77 of Wilson and the 3 of Crawford are on the front row. eNASCAR overtime. Number 2 we go. Good start for the 77, but he's got to drag the brakes a little bit. Almost got too far out in front of the 51. Now Garrett Maines is on the bumper. Through the gears they go. Down to turn 1. Third lane already formed. There's no shocker. It's led by the 88 car.
Another monstrous push down the tri wall for Garrett Maines. I'm sure that he almost regretted that push to bring Steven Wilson so far up in front. Malik Ray has already opened up the idea of a third lane. Wyatt Tinsley's in the middle of that. They're 4 wide. They still keep it together. Now there are cars sideways. Thomas Lloyd to the inside. For now, we're staying green. Now the yellow comes out. And we will have a third attempt.
Casey Kerwin gets tagged in this one. There's going to be damage on the left side of the Coca-Cola Chevrolet. A huge moment in the playoffs as Kerwin was tagged and collided with Michael Cozy Jr. It is going to put us to the brink of eNASCAR overtime. And for Cozy, which may end up being one, or for Kerwin, I should say, this regular season may end up being one restart too many, depending on how he's able to drive with a damaged Chevrolet.
We'll see the replay here in a second, but it appears like it started with a big block from Wyatt Tinsley on Malik Ray. Almost unnecessary if you're in Wyatt Tinsley's position. You just want this race to finish. You are in great position to advance. We'll see it here in a second, but we've seen blocks, slowdowns at the front of the field create the domino effect behind everybody at the front and just ruin days for some people. We'll get the block here, but watch the 20 car move up. Not egregious, but you know the 88's trying to make that third lane go, and then everyone slows down after that.
And once more, as you get the onboard look, this is going to be Seth DeBerchin behind it. Sees the car starting to get out of shape, gets on the brakes and gets out of town as soon as possible to find his way through. But for the upteenth time tonight, Kenneth, it's not the initial contact. It's just when they get out of shape, there's just an inability to get it back under control because no one's going to cut anybody behind it.
Yeah, and obviously you're trying to fill space. Everyone's 4 wide. Look at the red and white Coca-Cola Chevrolet in the back of that. Unbelievable. That's just gut-wrenching. You think you have the playoffs in your sight. You think you can just survive the restart. And here comes some calls on pit road. So I mentioned having at least a few laps for overtime. I think we've gone too many. Steven Wilson, Wyatt Tinsley, and a few others are on pit road. Can you believe it?
51 laps since they last pitted. About a dozen of those were under the yellow flag, but they feel like they have exhausted all of the fuel. They are forced to the pit lane, and that means that Blaze Crawford is now going to stand alone as the top car in the running order and on the same strategy as those drivers. Alan, let's get his thoughts.
Yeah, Blaze, you are now in the lead, but that means you may not have as much fuel as everybody else. Let's start there. Everybody's pitting around you. Your strategy was to stay out. How comfortable are you?
Yeah, I'm really not nervous. Looking at my number, I have plenty of fuel to make it to the end. I'm really disappointed seeing Steven pit there because that would have put my teammate Kenny Brady right behind me there. We would have just pushed each other, get a good Team Dillon 1-2. Would have been huge, but we'll be on the front row here and we're gonna duke it out. If it goes green, I'm confident I'll make it. So we'll see how this shakes up and let's make it happen.
I know it's not the season you wanted, but a win and a victory is a huge part for any resume. What will it take? Will it take help from an ally, help from somebody else to get this done?
Yeah, it's going to take help, absolutely. It really sucks that even if we win, we're not going to make the playoffs. Just it's been a really tough year, and even though I prided myself on, like managing the really bad days last season, I just really haven't done that this season. Hasn't really gone our way, but really I've got my boss man, Garrett Maines. Well, it looks like he'll line up behind me. Known him for a good long time, and my team on the outside. So I feel happy with the people around me, and we're gonna make it happen.
Well, maybe he's listening. The campaign and the politicking going on right now. Blaze Crawford, you're in position. Good luck this final restart.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, guys.
I'll wonder out loud, guys, do you think that Blaze is as confident on fuel as he portrayed, or do you think that's a little bit of messaging to the rest of the field if anybody from those teams are listening in that, yeah, you can push me, it's fine, don't be worried?
You know what? I don't know. I think he's honest. I'm going to say that he's an honest man. I think he's trying to flaunt that he can go better than anyone else on fuel. I mean, again, everyone has their different strategies. When these yellows come out, some immediately go to fuel-saving mode. Others don't. Others feel that they have the number right in their head. And this is going to be a ton of fun because look at this top 4. Neither of them have won an eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series race in their careers. And here they are, with Bobby Zalenski, the only winner in the top 5. This is going to be fun.
It's also worth noting that almost everybody up front is in the same boat as the cars that were just forced to pit, but not all of them. Look at the last pit stop lap. Kenny Brady pitted on lap 64. That was only 26 laps ago. So unless they went way off on the math, he's good, no question. Same with Donovan Strauss. Same with Blake Reynolds in 13th. So there are fuel questions for many, but not for all. And I think that's something to keep in mind. We also don't know how far you got to go to get to the end of this race, because this is the final attempt at eNASCAR overtime. So if we get a wreck before the white flag, you will still need pace and fuel to maintain that pace speed to the end, but you would not need to burn max fuel like you would under green. Can everybody make it to the end? Who's going to be in and who's going to be out? And do we possibly have a first-time championship series winner in our midst? A couple of candidates are up front. Blaze Crawford, the control car for the third and final go at eNASCAR overtime. The regular season ends right here, right now. Green flag in the air.
No one has more on the line than that 25 of Christopher Hill. He is the one of these cars in the position where a win puts him in the playoff. What can he do in these final, hopefully, 2 green flag laps?
The 3's out in front. Where does he go off at 2 as the rest of the field catches up? He'll stay on the bottom. So Crawford pushed by Maines. The outside will see Kenny Brady leading, pushed by the 25 of Christopher Hill. Third lane's coming, though. The 73 of Nichols jumps up, but they're about 5 rows back as we look to get to the white to make this race official.
That help might come too late unless other drivers join them. Hill is wobbling down the front straightaway to the trial. The white flag in the air from Daytona International Speedway. Blaze Crawford out in front, and it's by a large margin. This race is official no matter what. Garrett Maines behind. It's a 4-car breakaway to turn 2.
5th car in line is Bobby Zalenski. Allen, those top 4 want to stay clear, but the pack still has time to catch them.
But do they have the momentum behind this top 4? There's only 2 cars. Bobby Zalenski, Christopher Hill goes low, trying to do what he can, has to make it happen now. Heading into 3, he's alone on the bottom, but Bobby Zalenski making it work up top, and they're crashing behind.
Zalenski to the apron, loses momentum. Maines to the inside. Reynolds and Crawford is out of fuel. Maines to the stripe. Garrett Maines, race winner at Daytona, steals it as coming to the checkered flag. Blaze Crawford ran out of fuel from the race lead.
Did Blaze Crawford lie to me?
We talked about messaging, and he was about 10 seconds short on fuel, and look at that smile. First time winner in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series to Garrett Maines and Rick Ware Racing. The opposite side, Blaze Crawford, still a P5, a good result, but just a fraction of a fuel percentage short of his first career win. And now Maines may be out, getting a push to a front straightaway celebration.
It's poetry at the end. A brand new team to the series, a driver who's had experience here before, a winner at Daytona.
This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Garrett Maines pushed around after he ran out of fuel on the cool-down lap by his teammate Daniel Falkenham to celebrate his first career win in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. Maybe just a little bit left to do a burnout, as he'll become the 70th different race winner all time in series history. Let's take a look at your Coca-Cola move of the race. It is the final lap. It came down in the end to Garrett Maines and Blaze Crawford, but off of 4, number 3, your leader to the white. We were waiting for that big run to come from behind. Eventually it does. Watch Zelensky as they come off of 2.
Look at the 4 cars that break away to the front. That's the most of a gap that we've seen between any cars and the rest of the pack. I think Zelensky was trying to slow up a little bit, get the run. He picks up Blake Reynolds, that green machine right behind, and they're going to have a big run down this super stretch. You'll see Christopher Hill, 4th car line. He slings to the inside, trying to predict where Zelensky goes. Zelensky goes high. Reynolds follows. Brady with a half block. There was a great block from the front running 2. And as they crash, coming off of turn 4, watch the 3 car at the front. He runs out of fuel. Right there, he starts sputtering. Garrett Maines breaks free. And with just enough fumes, Garrett Maines breaks through for the win.
And I think Zelensky was out of fuel also, because he had a huge run, Allen, through 4, dropped to the apron, and then all of a sudden nothing. So I think a handful of guys run out of fuel there in the final lap.
Drama to end the regular season. Didn't Garrett Maines start on pit road? What a race.
What a bounce back. We'll get a word with him. We'll also get an official look at who's in and who's out in a minute. First, your Coca-Cola race results. Garrett Maines, as it so often can be in Daytona, leads 1 lap and 1 lap only as he takes the win over Jake Nichols. Blake Reynolds is 3rd. Parker White already locked in 4th. And Blaze Crawford comes home P5, guys. How about Sean Conklin? Above the cut line coming into this, is likely going to lock up his spot in the playoffs with a P6 result tonight. Daniel Falkenham ends up in 7th. It's a great night for the Rick Ware Racing team. Zach Novak is in 8th. Bobby Zelensky and Connor Urashak, your top 10.
And there in 12th is Casey Kerwin with Nathan Stewart right in front of him. We don't know if that's enough to lock up a spot on points. Thomas Lloyd, 13th. Dylan Alt, Michael Cozy Jr. to the top 15. We know Tucker Minter was already locked in on points. A 16th place finish isn't going to change his outlook for the playoffs. Donovan Strauss, Wyatt Tinsley, Steven Wilson, and Malik Ray cap off the top 20.
Continuing on through, a lot of these drivers thought that it was going to be a great night for them. We saw Christopher Hill. We saw Kenny Brady lead laps. Kenny Brady, maybe a late favorite to win this race based on position. Can't get the final result for the Team Dillard Esports machine. Matthew Morton, Femi Alonso-Posen, Dillard Basin, all names who were up front and led laps a lot in this race.
And just a tough break for all of them. I mean, plenty of drivers that got the dagger at the end, including drivers like Vicente Salas, Jordi Lopez, Michael Guest crashed under green, Seth Knoll, Logan Helton had strong cars to begin this one, but they fall short. Dylan Duval, Garrett Lowe, and Matthew Zwack in his fill-in appearance bring the close of the field here from Daytona.
It's a look top to bottom at your Coca-Cola full race results. Let's head to Daytona International Speedway Victory Lane, where Alan Cavana is with Garrett Maines.
Nothing like a first-time winner, Garrett Maines. We saw what happened. I wanted to ask what this means, though, at first, because we saw the emotion afterward. Getting a victory, eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series at Daytona. What's behind all the emotion we saw?
Man, I mean, coming into this race, this was one I, just look forward to. I know Daytona is a really good track for me, and Atlanta was too. The heartbreak earlier this year, in position to win at the end and getting spun off of turn 2. I really wanted to come back, and starting from the pits, I knew that was going to be an uphill battle from the get-go, and I've waited 5 years to finally win one of these things, and I have had this Coke bottle sitting next to me since the first race I ever ran in the series, and I took a sip of Coke. I'm not opening this one, but this is the share of Coke with Garrett Maines that all the drivers got in 2020. That is how long it has been. So just really cool to be able to get a win for Rick Ware. They have taken really good care of me this year, and I have had the roughest beginning to this season that you could possibly imagine. So to get a win for Super.com, Rocket Doctor, Wigan Water Technologies, MCU Body, Linux, everybody that has helped make this happen for me I mean, over the years, everybody that supported me, it's just so awesome to be able to get the win tonight. And just shout out to Blaze and Kenny there for just excellent work. That was really cool to be able to work with them, just like I did, in RTP and earlier in the year. Just it all came full circle, and here we are, finally talking to y'all.
If I didn't know how expensive all that equipment was, I'd be very disappointed you weren't cracking that Coke bottle right now. But I'll let that slide.
I thought about it.
Tell me about the end, though, because you saw a bunch of the field had to pit. Some of your competitors ran out of fuel. What was going through your head? How comfortable were you?
I just got to say, shout out to the protester. If I did not get put to a pit start after last week, changing lanes in 38th place for no gain, I would have ran out of gas. I would have been in the same boat.
Wow.
I would have been up there battling for the win, and instead I was the lucky dog candidate, and I had to work my way through the field on that tank of gas. And because I had to literally just ride for most of that run, I had 1/10 to the good when I crossed the line. And when Blaze told me what he had in the tank, I knew he wasn't going to make it. When we went to the end and he started working it up the track, I'm like, there's no way. I just got to wait for him to sputter. And that was all it was. Coming off of the final corner, everybody wrecked, and then it was fair game. So, man, just to be in the right place at the right time after everything that happened, I got to thank the Lord for keeping me sane over the years. It's been crazy, and to be able to come back after just the way this race started, for legitimately to take a clean car home. I came through the whole field, 0x, never hit a person all night. So it couldn't have been more perfect for a first win.
Well, we love the emotion. We love the passion. You took a disadvantage and turned it into your first victory here in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Garrett Maines, congratulations.
Thank you.
Winner, winner, Evan.
A celebration to come, I'm sure, as Garrett Maines is your race winner. And another big performance. Sean Conklin going to come home with a top 6 result. Kenneth, I'm going to have him postseason bound.
Sean, we join you now. The last time you and I talked is when you had a career best series finish. You lock up a top 10 in a race that went every which way. And now, barring the points unofficially, you are a playoff driver for 2026 in your rookie season. Tell us your emotions. What are your thoughts right now?
The emotions were all over the place in the last lap and then coming to the checkered, because I think we fell back to 20th or something. The inside just completely died. But yeah, the emotions when I crossed the line and saw 6th, and I knew all we needed was top 25. It was just huge. I felt like I won the race. It's just the playoffs, it was something that I never expected in the first year. I mean, the goal was just to make top 20 and be here for next year. And now that's going to be the case, and we're going to be in the playoffs. So that's just huge for me, and a huge confidence booster for anything that I do on here. Either if you have a good finish or a bad finish, it's just something you can look back on and say, I did that, and I deserve to have a spot here. And I couldn't do it without all the guys at RFK that took a chance on me, all the guys at Ryko that just worked tirelessly on all these setups, weekly setups, and obviously all the Coke setups, and just great group of guys that we have this year, and I can't wait to keep that going.
From qualifying into this series to performing well, probably Rookie of the Year locked up as well, and now 3 playoff races in front of you to try and go at it for a title at Homestead, Miami at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. What does the mentality look like now from the beginning of your journey earlier this year to now having a realistic shot at $100,000?
Well, it stays the same for the most part, and maybe a little extra push for sure. I think we've worked really hard no matter what the circumstances were. Even if we didn't have a shot or we did have a shot, we worked the same all year. So I think we just keep doing that, and we'll work even a little harder if we need to. But I think we have a good program going to where we just got in a rhythm of things that we can keep going into these playoffs. So yeah, we'll just keep doing what we've been doing. It's been working so far. We'll keep getting good cars to the racetrack, and we'll keep representing well.
Well, Sean, great run tonight here at Daytona. Congratulations on making the playoffs for 2026. We'll see you at the field at Michigan. Should be fun. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Evan?
Only the fourth driver to ever make the playoffs as a rookie as we head into the 10th year of the playoffs, and here they are. So the final count with bonuses added in: Steven Wilson, Bobby Zelensky, Parker White, and Vicente Salas at the top of the board. And at the bottom, we knew Conklin was in. We knew Minter was in coming into tonight. It is Urashak, Tinsley, and others. We'll double check some of the math on the bottom there. But I think the big thing to confirm there immediately, Sean Conklin is in. The only other rookies to ever make it in, Lopez, Minter, and DeYoung in series history. That is some mighty fine company.
It is not easy, Alan, to make a difference in a series where everyone over the last few years have talked about it's basically not different between every single driver. It is so close. But yet Sean Conklin, just such an impressive season to put together, and now is going to be running for $100,000 and a playoff spot at that.
Yeah, full look at the points still to come. But first, before that, let's talk the podium of tonight's race. Jake Nichols, congrats. Second place tonight. I know it was close. We hear Christopher Bell in real life talk about this. A good second and a bad second. What was tonight for you?
A good one, honestly. I was hoping Garrett would run out of gas coming to the trial and we'd have a shot, but with our season with TCE Sports here, we've just had no luck. I feel like every week we're getting caught up in something, and thankfully I have a great support system with this team and with Nexus Esports, and I just can't thank everyone enough at TCE Sports. They've been behind my back no matter what, and I was just trying to stay clean all night. That was my main goal. If we had a clean car at the finish, we could win the race. And we got with Blake Reynolds there on the last lap, and I was hoping we could get our teammate in front of us and push him all the way, but it wasn't meant to be for him, and it's disappointing. But on the other end of the spectrum, we got a great finish, and it gives us a little bit of life to try to sneak our way back to the top 20, been way behind. But we had a few weeks here to just keep the momentum up and hopefully have a chance at it.
A brand new team, best finish of the year. I love the perspective. Congratulations, Jake.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll keep it going. And another close finish tonight. There were so many issues and worries about the fuel coming to the end of this. How did you feel when that last restart went green? Blake Reynolds, I'm sorry, let's introduce you. Blake Reynolds, who had one of the better finishes tonight for himself. Blake, how did you feel about your situation going to green in that last run? Blake, you got us. He's stunned by his podium
first interview
finish.
of the year, Alan. We got to work out the audio routing for him.
Hey, Blake, you there? Oh, I thought we heard him.
Let's
Blake,
try it
buddy.
now.
Blake,
I don't,
how
you
you
know,
doing, my
I don't
friend?
finish up here very often. I don't know how to work Discord, but so it's new for me, y'all.
All
let's be
good.
patient.
Take your time, man. It was an exciting finish. There was some drama. We didn't know how much fuel anybody would have at the end. Take us through those last two laps for you and your ride, almost seeing the checkered flag.
Yeah, it was crazy. All those green, white checkers, I'm losing a row every time. I'm like, man, I got to get some momentum here. And then all of a sudden, I finally restarted that outside and I got with Zelensky and Nichols there on the top, and we just got rolling, and we never stopped. Bobby ran out of gas in turn 4, and he turned off my nose, and Jake was right behind me, and we tried to keep it going. And, man, I got in the back of Blaze Crawford, and if that didn't happen, I may have had a shot this win. I'm looking at his replay. Yeah, we just needed a good run in this Green Machine, the Real Street Performance Toyota for Channel 199. It's been we had a great start, just a miserable summer, but tonight it felt different. I was happy to really get up there and have fun and duel with all the people just up front and just having fun.
That's what's important. We could see it. We could see it in your face. It's fun to talk to you. It's fun to hear the fun in your voice. Keep it going. I know it's not a playoff run, but still plenty to race for. Congratulations, Blake.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, we now have the corrected graphic. Let's take a look again. So we knew coming into tonight about Zelensky, Wilson, Salas, White, and Lowe with the bonus points, as well as Tucker Minter. Sean Conklin stays in. Connor Urashak stays in. Tinsley stays. And Kerwin stays for all of the different scenarios. In the end, the 10 who enter are the 10 who exit.
That's insane. Just regarding Casey Kerwin's end of the race, how Wyatt Tinsley was in the lead and then bounced around so much in the final few laps. Unbelievable to think that Kerwin still eked out enough points to be able to stay above the top 10. And also, with Tinsley and Kerwin, they are the only full team represented in the playoffs with both cars, the 20 and the 24. Everyone else is just one of their two-car operation, but plenty of heavy hitters, Alan, and this should be probably one of the best playoffs that we do see in series history.
Everybody going to be targeting Steven Wilson, Bobby Zielinski, the Denny Hamlin of this league, doing everything except get the championship. You expect him to be a contender. Casey Kerwin, you let a former champion in. You had your chance field to have him out of the playoff. You let him back in. That's going to be interesting. Vicente Tucker, these are all veterans of the sport. Can't wait to find out what they do in the playoff.
Are we calling Casey then our Joey Logano, where you want to get him out when you have the chance because he gets into the playoffs and who knows? Also, I think it's worth noting Garrett Maines, who wins tonight, was not one of those drivers that could win his way in. He was 50 points below P20. In the end of the day, he'll be much closer, but that was just outside of the mathematical range. So for all the different drivers who could have won their way in, Casey Kerwin very thankful it's a Garrett Maines race win and not any of those dozen or so names that could have been big spoiler for him. So now we get a short 1 week break to hit the reset button, and the 10 drivers who are going to go at it are going to go September 1st from Michigan International Speedway. It is the first race of the playoffs. 10 drivers, golden ticket to the championship 4 going to be waiting for us when we head to the Irish Hills of Brooklyn, Michigan. High speed, 2-mile D-shaped oval. We have not seen any racetrack like Michigan International Speedway yet this season. It's going to be a fun one to look forward to as we head into year number 10 of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series playoffs. So it started as 40 championship hopefuls, is now down to 10 guys. The regular season has come and gone. What are we looking forward to? What is going to be on your guys' minds? Alan, I'll toss to you first here. When we get next Tuesday off, we get a week off. A lot of practice going to be happening, and then we go back at it at MIS.
Well, I thought tonight was really important for Steven Wilson just to show that number 77 up front. Once again, by his standards, the last few weeks have not been great. He did not have a good segment 3, but we're back in the playoffs. He is already one of the Mount Rushmores of eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. He's just adding to his status again. It's up to everybody else to beat him. It is Steven Wilson's season. The playoffs, once again.
All right, so Steven Wilson in search of what could be a third championship in 4 years as he tries to build a dynasty akin to the likes of Ray Alfala, the only other comparable analogy we could make ever. Kenneth, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the dynamics of tracks that we will have in this playoff structure, including the finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. Technically, this regular season, we've only had one 1.5-mile racetrack, and that was the opener at Charlotte. We have 3 back-to-back in the playoffs right after Michigan and Texas, Kansas, and then eventually Homestead Miami. So this is the time for a bulk of the field to step up their intermediate game. Also, one thing that we pointed up through the qualifying series, all those tracks in the playoffs were featured in the qualifying series campaign. So there's a lot more of a blend in experience, and a lot of that could come to a very fun conclusion when we go to Michigan in a few weeks and when we continue to find out who those last 4 drivers are for the title.
And I'll give my thoughts as well, and it's a thought that we've gone over year after year after year. But is this Bobby Zielinski's year? He is a lock. He seems like if he's in the playoffs, he's a lock for the championship 4. He's going to have to get there again, but he is in the game once more, and you got to think that the winningest driver in series history without a title has got it in him somewhere. Does it happen here in 2026? Until then, that is going to be it for us here tonight from Daytona. On behalf of our entire team at iRacing, NASCAR, everybody on the remote broadcast crew, and for everybody at the iRacing HQ, and for your broadcast team tonight. For Ryan Vargas, James Pike, Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, and myself, Evan Pasoko, want to say thanks for tuning in. We're going to see you for the start of the playoffs 2 weeks' time on Tuesday, September 1st at iRacing's virtual Michigan International Speedway. That race and every race of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series playoffs can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Until then, good night from Daytona Beach, and congratulations to first-time Coke Series winner Garrett Maines.